Oh, move on, building walls, I'm building bridges to greatness, demanding excellence, no time for complacence. Act right or act out, the choice is always clear. My presence is my power, my standards draw the line here. This is the elevation protocol, rising above the chaos, taking control. My values not negotiable, my worth is my law. Surrounding myself with excellence, that's what I saw. I'm not building walls, I'm building bridges to greatness. Demanding excellence, no time for complacence. Act right or act out, the choice is always clear. My presence is my power, my standards draw the line here. Ah. This is the elevation protocol, rising above the chaos, taking control. My values not negotiable, my worth is my law. Surrounding myself with excellence, that's what I saw. This is the elevation protocol, rising above the chaos, taking control. My values not negotiable, my worth is my law. Surrounding myself with excellence, that's what I saw. I'm not building walls, I'm building bridges to greatness. Demanding excellence, no time for complacence. Act right or act out, the choice is always clear. My presence is my power, my standards draw the line here. I'm not building walls, I'm building bridges to greatness. Demanding excellence, no time for complacence. Act right or act out, the choice is always clear. My presence is my power, my standards draw the line here. I'm not building walls, I'm building bridges to greatness. Demanding excellence, no time for complacence. Act right or act out, the choice is always clear. My presence is my power, my standards draw the line here. I'm not building walls, I'm building bridges to greatness. Demanding excellence, no time for complacence. Act right or act out, the choice is always clear. My presence is my power, my standards draw the line here. I'm not building walls, I'm building bridges to greatness. Demanding excellence, no time for complacence. Act right or act out, the choice is always clear. My presence is my power, my standards draw the line here. My standards draw the line here. My standards draw the line here. I'm not building walls.
All right, how you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host Xander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. We're about 30 minutes late today, but hey, As I say, we go live every night of the week, and we do not let the sun rise without going live, but we don't always start on time. And that's why we ask you guys to like and subscribe, and then potentially hit those notification buttons and mash those reaction buttons as you hang out on the live for today. Now, we're supposed to be today talking about building wealth while dating elite women. Now, before we get started, I do want to tell you that we did find out that there is some stuff that's going down with a temporary 2 week ceasefire. And if that negotiation works out well, then we might see the end to the conflict. And we thought it was going to last until June, but it really depends on what happens. So we're going to be following that information, and we're going to be providing you with some updates on it on Monday, getting the details about what's expected to happen versus how that's going to affect our ability to make, save, and invest money. Speaking of, because we're live 7 nights a week, we cover different topics from different angles every night of the week. And that's one of the reasons why we were late today. I got like 30 scripts made for the next month, and I had to figure out which one was for today. However, on Sunday tomorrow, we do questions and comments from the fans, where you guys have questions about yourselves, how I can give you guys different perspective on how you can improve yourselves. Then we have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays, business and politics, where Monday we talk about how politics negatively impacts your ability to make, save, and invest money. Tuesdays are discussions about how to make money, save money, invest money, budget money. Wednesday, different countries around the world that you could potentially live and invest in, which allows you to spend your money in better places more affordably. Then we have Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, today being Saturday, where we give you guys information on how to improve yourself. So your self improvement, self development, negotiation skills, relationship topics, socialization, building your brand, and then we go into uh, discussing promotions, raises, retirement, and severance packages, because even negotiating your termination is a way that you can do it to come out on top on your way out. Then we give you guys a lot of information on how you could potentially build your 20-year or 30-year plan, where figuring out where you want to end up versus what all you can do to get there is the best way to go about starting today to set up a better future for you for tomorrow, next week, next year, stuff to that effect. Now, I gave you guys some information in the membership. For anybody who's interested in the membership, I gave you guys some information in the membership about some of the. We have a core satellite portfolio where we specifically have gone through so many different undervalued stocks and found some of the ones that gives you guys the best return on investment. That is a 100% cash dividend based portfolio, but the portfolio is also somewhat of a growth portfolio. So I put you like a 16 or 17 stock scenario up there for one portfolio. Then I put up another portfolio that you guys can look at and potentially do some research uh, that you guys could benefit from, and then take action on those. Also gave you guys links because I have access to fintech that I like to use for my investment opportunities, where it's a flat rate fee for using it, as opposed to some of the things that charge you per transaction for the trades. And if you're making more money than you're spending, you're turning over a profit. So I typically give you guys links to things that y'all can benefit from, and then y'all do your research on it and see what you think about it. Steve has been benefiting from it a lot, so special shout out to Steven. Base High was benefiting from it for a while when Base High was here using it. Michael's learned quite a few things on it as well. So the stuff does work. It just depends on whether or not you're going to use it. And it's up to you if you do and if you don't. Uh, as Steven said on the show plenty of times before, what is it, like $3, $4 a month for the membership? Money well spent. You get more money from you make more money off of the information I give you than what you would have spent on a financial advisor. So with that being said, not a financial advisor. I just know that there's a better way for us to live with the way the world is changing, economies are changing, geopolitical trades are changing. These are stuff that's happening outside of our control, and we have the capabilities to change the way we approach life. And it starts with first person accountability. It starts with you changing the way you do you. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about in today's discussion, when we're building wealth while dating perceivably elite women. Now, I know there's a lot of women flooding in waiting on this to be a red pill podcast. It's not. It is a male driven podcast from the male's perspective, but it is by far not designed to do anything other than help men become higher value men by them having the capabilities to learn other ways to improve themselves. There goes Steven. Special shout out to Steven. Money well spent indeed. Man, hey, I actually see some stuff about shoes, about different types of dress shoes, and then different types of suits. And I'm going to piece some information together about it and put it in the membership first, and then cover it on the show later because I've already got like 30 days worth of information up there, uh, outside of the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday shows that we got going on. So I'm going to be throwing that in the membership first and then covering it on the show later on so that you have the members have first look at what we're going to be discussing when we start discussing different styles of shoes, and what they could be used for, different styles of suits, what they could be used for, so that you guys can decide how to change the way you do what you do with getting yourselves a better attire. And that's going to kind of play into what we're talking about today, because in order for you to find a partner of higher value, you have to carry yourself as a man with higher value. And in order for you to do that, you have to first change your mentality, but then you also have to change the way you carry yourself, because the way you think isn't the first thing that somebody sees when they meet you in the street. It's the way you look. Then what you say. And your body language, your mannerisms also can be observed from afar, but you also got to remember uh, the things that you do and the things that you say and the way that you look are going to be the first things that leads to whether or not you're dating a higher value person or you're dating a lower value person that's just benefiting from your capital. Michael says, my latest find is a $20 bill with a specific serial number on it, and also calls a devil's note due to the 666 on it. But it now, is there value in that buck, in that $20 bill that you found? Or is it just cool because it has 666 in the serial number? Uh, because people don't look at the serial numbers of $20 bills. But I also know that in other countries, somewhere in Asia, that the number 4 or 13 are like bad numbers to assess. Absolutely valuable. Well, then you need to like put that into a nice sealed case and put it into a safe somewhere so that nobody touches it. Oh, it's a mistake. Oh yeah, mistakes are, oh, when America makes a mistake, they'll pay a bunch of money to buy that mistake back from you. You should sell it before you die so you can get your mistake unless you have some lineage you want to give it to so that they can sell it and make some money off of it after you pass. Right? Because building your generational wealth only really matters if you have a generation to give it to, a next generation to give it to. Now, um, when we start talking about oh, hold on a second. That $20 bill sounds evil. I can take it off your hands to help you out. Hold on now. As long as I'm taking it off your hands for less than $20, I'll take it off your hands. But when the $20 bill that you got going on starts costing me like 1,000, 2,000, $3,000, that's all right, bro. I'll let you deal with the devil. Oh, remember I told you guys about how we had gotten more shirts in from this and that. We got one of the this and that shirts on right now, and this one actually has the nice shiny buttons on them, and I thought that that was pretty cool from the manufacturer. Um, which I'm still working on like how this is going to look for us, but build your brand in a professional sense, because a lot of places that they start building their brand, they throw their logo on a t-shirt. And it's fine, but I mean, if I'm going to pay the price of a t-shirt, why don't I get me a button down and dress up and have my logo where I can build my brand in a different perspective? So now I'm looking for blazers that do logos like this where I can have me a suit with my podcast logo on it. I think I found one that might actually be able to put one on the front side and the back. I'm gonna see what's going on with that, and I'll let you guys know about it when it happens. But we got some memorabilia in the membership in the links to the show. So because we got like 2 or 3 different um online companies that does the product endorsements for us. So you guys can always click the links for those. But anybody in the membership that's interested in any available discounts, you let me know and I'll see what we can do about it. Depending on the membership tier, depends upon the discount levels. Michael said that it is also a low note printed. Well, they did do away with the pennies, so I don't really know how we're gonna deal with currency since they're not making pennies anymore. When things start being more than 95 cents, like what are we gonna do? Are they gonna round down and take our nickel, or are they gonna round up and keep our 4 cents? That's always been a question that I've had. But with a lot of people using debit and credit cards, I don't know if it's really going to impact, uh, you know, debit card users as often as it's going to affect cash users. He said, "Yo, Kong, how you doing, bad boy?" Okay. Now, next, let's go ahead and get started on today's topic because I know that a lot of ladies wanted to see what I had to say. Uh, but fellas, he said, "You must be wrong." I don't know. I can't be wrong. I haven't got started with today's show yet. Oh, okay. He's trolling. So most guys live their lives in two separate worlds. Ah, there she goes. Special shout out to Nicole. I haven't seen you here for a while. Detroit, Michigan in the house. She probably been like listening to us in the background for a while because y'all can watch, y'all can listen and not say nothing. But I know I love it when y'all come in and dive in and give us some information. Now, okay, thank you very much. You can also hit the membership. In one corner, you've got a world of ambition, career, and money. In this world of logic, spreadsheets, and cold, hard numbers, it's where you grind, you hustle, you build. And a lot of women are doing this the same way. Ah, Michael, hi. He said, I'm listening while I'm painting the landscape. You're gonna be like the next Picasso, bro. You're gonna be the I'm glad that I'm able to be like the background entertainment that helps you with your ability to focus on your work. Because as much as I love for people to come to my show, I prefer for them to benefit from being here. I don't like to be a distraction. You know what I mean? Now, back to what I was saying. You find yourself tracking your progress, optimizing your returns, and making calculated moves to go ahead. And you know the rules to this type of game. And a lot of ladies do this too, because one of the things that we've come to understand with our alpha boss ladies in the modern 2026 era is that women are learning how to become more effective in the professional world. Doesn't always work with relationships, but you know everybody knows the feeling of uh, being able to do the things that needs to be done to progress in their careers. He said, I'm multitasking. Hey, I love multitasking, but we always have to recognize when is it time for us to take some time off. Now, more effort, more focus, more discipline, it all leads to bigger numbers in your bank account. It's a straightforward equation, and it is one that you've been taught to master since day one. Men and women alike have learned this, right? And women are getting better at it than men. And fundamentally, because men are distracted by attraction and getting laid, and women are focus driven on success. Alongside the affirmative action laws that still exist for women, because while they have done away with affirmative action for um, equal rights towards men, the gender equality laws still exist. They haven't abolished those yet, right? But then there's this other world, though, the world of dating and relationships and love. Everybody struggles here. This world feels completely different, doesn't it? It's a world of emotion, intuition, and wildly unpredictable outcomes. It doesn't follow the same rules. In fact, most guys see it as a complete distraction from the first world. It's just a line item in the budget, a drain on your time, a drain on your energy, and most of all, a drain on your finances. And you see it as something to be managed, a cost to be minimized, or a luxury you can only afford after you finally made it. And that's going to be one of the reasons why a lot of men tend to withdraw from the dating field. Michael says women have more rights than men. I'm burning my shorts. Bro, I'm not gonna cap. The women don't believe this because they are benefiting from privilege right now. The women's suffrage that occurred back in the 40s and 50s and 60s that made the laws that brought equality for them, those laws still exist now in 2026, where it is no longer equality. It is it was a seesaw, and I'm not gonna lie, when those laws were created, it was created for the disadvantaged, which at that time were women, and they were down, right? But over the last 40 or 50 years, it not only balanced, but it tipped the scales in favor of women. And now that it is not beneficial to men on an equal platform, women feel like it is fair because women now have more. And their excuse is because 40, 50, 60 years ago, they used to have less. But those of you that are in your 30s, where 20 years before you were born, you can't get reparations for that. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? It's like, if you recognize that you kind of got it easy, you got to accept that. But those who benefit from privilege don't are not aware of the privilege. Those who experience suffrage knows what privilege looks like, right? Because the people experiencing suffrage don't experience that. But it is true that women do have more rights than men these days, because one of the things that society has been built upon was the strength of men. And in the past, men had more authority over a lot of things, and the problem is that the laws that are always built are built to protect the weak and the disadvantaged, which usually isn't men. So a law in favor of men is the last thing that gets put into action because men are usually not disadvantaged. But over the last 15 years, men have been disadvantaged to the magnitude that laws are changing to not only be gender neutral, but also specifically favor men, just like the good dads bills that were being passed, and fathers first laws, and all of this stuff that's going on with men protesting in the streets to have equal rights to parent their children, because now men are starting to be, not just starting to be, no, men are being recognized as consistently being disadvantaged in certain situations, right? Steven says, I've been withdrawn from the dating field for a while, but I'm still down to buy a hotel room. I understand that logic, because I'm not bringing them back to the house, so you're probably gonna have to buy a hotel room, especially if it's a one night stand. But we find ourselves not understanding the difference between the logic of building a relationship of value versus having interactions of convenience. I don't know about hookers, Michael. I mean, okay, so here's the dynamic. They behave the same way, believe it or not. But you have the mentality of the younger generation of females that are willing to have a good time at the expense of the dude. And then if the time was good enough, they're willing to have a one night stand. You have some females that you might have to take them out two or three times, but after you've spent a certain quantity of money, they're willing to sleep with you. There are some where if you get them drunk enough, high enough, stoned enough, they're gonna be willing to sleep with you. If they have habits that you support and you're now their supplier, they'll sleep with you so that they can support their habit for free. So the mentality of some of those women, and this isn't all of the women, this is just the ones that are not wife material. Those are the ones that have that hooker mentality where they are willing to trade their bodies for whatever enjoyment that they're having in the moment, right? That's not what we need to be looking for as men of value. We're supposed to be paying attention to the ones that won't do that. Either they hate getting paid in yeah. Well, in that case, bro, I'm gonna start walking around with big Corona bags full of quarters. I'm not even gonna have quarter rolls. I'm gonna have big Corona bags full of quarters because it's like if I'm gonna start paying in quarters, he broke. Thank God. But $50 worth of Corona quarters is gonna be heavy as hell. But a lot of people keep these two worlds walled off from each other. So you build your wealth over here on one side and you manage your love life over there on the other side. And this right here is the single biggest strategic mistake that you'll ever make. It is the one error in judgment that will cost you more than any bad investment. more than any failed business and more than any market crash. Because what nobody tells you, what the hustle culture gurus conveniently leave out, is that these two worlds aren't separate at all. They are intrinsically, deeply, and permanently connected. So most guys think the path to wealth is a lonely one, built on hustle and sacrifice. They see their dating life as a liability, a cost center on life's balance sheet. But what if I told you that the single biggest accelerator to your bank account isn't your stock portfolio? It's not your side hustle either. It's the woman you choose to build a life with, right? What if I told you that your choice of a life partner is the most important financial decision that you will ever make? The hard truth, backed by data, is that the right woman can act as a multiplier on your ambition, your focus, and your net worth, helping to build you into a millionaire a whole lot faster than what you could have done on your own. While the wrong one will act as a financial anchor, a guaranteed way to ensure that you stay broke, you stay stressed, and you're full of resentment. The most dangerous part, most men are completely blind to the difference until it's far too late. They're so focused on making money to attract the woman that they never stop to consider how that woman will impact their money. Today, we're connecting those dots. And before I go deep into this, ladies, there's a lot of females popping in and out in here. Make sure that y'all like, subscribe, and use those reaction buttons. But ladies, dive in with your 2 cents on the topic throughout the show because I would love to hear what y'all have to say about this. Because probably I'm the only one that will cover exactly how valuable you are in a non-devaluing fashion. Because a lot of the guys that hit these topics are coming from a red pill, blue pill, black pill podcast where their whole goal is to devalue women so that women change. But negative reinforcement does not benefit society. Positive reinforcement does. Once I've pointed out how it doesn't make sense because it doesn't benefit you, the question is, why are you allowing life to not make sense around you and you don't understand why you're not doing better about yourself, which is completely different than what a lot of people consider. So, why is there such a massive blind spot for men? Why do smart, ambitious men who can analyze a balance sheet and spot a market trend completely fail to see the financial implications of their romantic choices? Why do y'all think that is? It boils down to a few core flaws, flawed beliefs that have been drilled into us for an extremely long portion of our lives. The first and most common is provider premise. Now, this is going to be the idea that a man's main role is to acquire resources. And once he has enough, a high quality woman will just show up out of nowhere. It's that if you build it, she will come approach to dating. You genuinely believe that if you just get the money, the women will follow. And look, that's partly true, but it's false in a very dangerous way. The problem with leading with money is that you attract women who are interested in specifically your money. You set the frame that your value is your wallet. So you spend your 20s and your 30s grinding away, sacrificing your social life, your hobbies, your health, all for a number in a bank account that you think will finally make you worthy of someone who's only worth or valued the amount in your bank account. Social media pours gasoline on this fire, creating a constant feeling of inadequacy. You see guys with lavish lifestyles and assume that's the price of admission. This creates a dangerous cycle. You feel inadequate, so you work harder. That work isolates you, preventing you from developing the very social skills, confidence, and character that are the real foundations of attraction. And you end up financially richer, but emotionally and socially bankrupt. Steven says buying dinner is where I draw the line. Need help on a bill, get a job, period. But see, buying dinner is where I draw the line. Before I buy the dinner, I have to know your worth. Completely different dynamic. To the magnitude, Stephen, if you saw a chick that you were attracted to, you would invite her out on a date. You would offer to pay for dinner. You would offer to take a few hours out of your day. These days, you might change the value of the date. You might not impress them with a five-star restaurant anymore. You might do a one or two-star restaurant these days. You might not impress them with $100 dinner where it's $50 a person. You might keep it around $40, $45 with the tip these days, but you're still approaching with money because you're I thought you were attractive and I wanted to get to know you. Can I take you out? Was always followed by where to? Where did you plan on taking me? She's going to analyze how much money you plan on spending on her to determine if the money that you're willing to spend on her is valuable enough for her to be willing to go. With that dynamic, Stephen, she's not going because she's interested in you. She's going because she's getting a free meal. She's going because she's getting a free event, a free movie, a free yacht party, a free night in the club, a free dance hall, a free bowling alley, a free activity. She's not interested in you for the sake of you and then going just because you're going to be there, right? Now, some women will offer to pay for themselves, but for the most part, they're going because you pay. They said, now, how are you going to see my behind, Steve, in the dark? My lights are off. She makes a good point. If you go into the movies, you got the lights dim, you can't see each other. You're in this position where you're paying attention to the TV screen. Yeah, it's a 2,000 square foot TV, but you're paying attention to a TV screen. You're not getting to know each other. If you're inviting her to the movies, you're not going to be able to see nothing. You take her out to dancing. You're not going to be able to pay attention to each other. You can't hear each other over the music. If you can't find value in her beyond you're attracted to her physically, meaning that you want to sleep with her. If you can't find value with her beyond that, then why are you paying for dinner? So your mentality is supposed to change there because your ability to find value in her before you start spending money on her. And I'm not talking about, oh, let's go Dutch. I'll pay for myself, you pay for yourself, and we'll see how we. No, because your time is valuable as a woman, my time is valuable as a man, and I'm not going to waste my time on somebody that I don't have value on. So over the course of the first hour, 2 hours that you and I are talking on first contact, and you're like, shit, we were talking for an hour. Look, if we can't talk for an hour where we're really interested in seeing each other again, then we don't have value in each other. If I'm going to talk to you for 5 minutes and out of that 5 minutes, I got your number, I don't know your real name, or I don't have your number because these young bucks these days, oh, I don't feel comfortable with giving you my number. I'll give you my Insta. First of all, you can't even say the whole word. Second of all, I met you in person, so I should not be retracted to your social media platform. If you are not comfortable with me in person to give me your direct contact number, that shows how much value you have in me before I even get to the main point of today's topics. Second of all, second of all, if I don't know your real name. You're throwing nicknames at me. You don't feel comfortable enough to talk to me about your real name. At the end of the day, we're in a position where you haven't found enough value in me to trust me enough to be seen with me in public outside of the fact that I'm paying for you. That's a whole nother problem, right? So we've got to start paying attention to these things before we start saying, "Oh, I'll pay for you. Let me take you out." And blah blah blah. Applebee's, whatever. Michael says even apes pay for sex. Got bananas, but Michael, think about this, Michael. You have the value of the woman that you're getting, which is going to be outside of the bedroom. The things that she's going to do and say and perform that are outside of the bedroom that brings value to the relationship. Now, when we start trying to find value outside of the kitchen, outside of the laundry room, you're if all you're doing is buying her attention, you're not finding out what her value is. Can she keep the books? Does she have investment information? Does she know how to strategize to organize your schedule a little bit more so that you could be more available to her? You know, the like what does she do that would be reasonably beneficial outside of cooking, cleaning, and bearing children? Because I mean, traditionally, that's what women were valuable at. In addition to back in the day before we had fintech, women was balancing the budget. Women was balancing the man's wallet. Women was addressing the man. Women was keeping the man and the kids looking sharp. So the things that women aren't willing to do these days because women call that misogynistic and oppressive, those are the things that made women valuable. So now that the women aren't willing to do that, what does a woman do to deserve a date besides look attractive? And you have to understand that her look is going to then become his expense when they start dating. So now he's going to be paying for the upkeep. So you got to understand that as well. Now, Nicole said dating is such an interview. I prefer to be in a social setting when getting to know someone. But see, that's one of the things that I'm trying to get Stephen to understand, Nicole, is that truth be told, it's not supposed to be so much about an interview, but it is, in fact, an interview. You as a woman are trying to find out if this man has the character and personality traits and decision making skills that you're willing to trust. Then you're also trying to find out what does he want you to do in a relationship, and you have to decide whether or not you're going to perform those tasks beyond cooking and cleaning and bearing children, right? Because if you don't want children but he does want children, you don't want to be in a relationship with him giving him the false sense of hope that maybe in the future I might change my mind, right? If you don't want children now, then you're not getting in a relationship with a man that wants children now, because in a year or 2 years you're not going to want children later, right? And a year or 2 years from now, the older you get, it's going to be more riskier for you to bear children where you might not even survive the child. So um logic is that as a woman you're supposed to be paying attention to everything except for his wallet, because yeah, depending on what he does for a living and how much money he makes, you can assess that the standard of living that he can afford to pay for is satisfactory to you. But if you've been following the show for the last 9 months, I've told you that two people with a $30,000 a year income can come together and make themselves a millionaire inside of 10 to 20 years. So all it takes is for two broke people to be fiscally responsible, work together, live off of one, maybe one and a half income, and invest the rest of the money, and you will not be broke in 10 to 15 years. And then y'all can live the life of rally. Y'all can upgrade your standard of living. Y'all can go from being in the hood in the bottom 25% and live in the top 60% and still be able to afford to travel the world. So it is an interview phase, because if your man is wasteful, then you're never going to save enough money to retire. But if your woman is wasteful, then you're always going to be spending every extra dollar you have to entertain her or cover the spread of what she doesn't bring to the table financially, because the two of you have a combined household income, and whatever one person doesn't put into the relationship comes out of the other person's pocket. So it is, in fact, an interview, but it can start off in a social setting where you guys are getting to know one another. But how do you go? How do you decide as a woman to go on a date with the man in the first place? Usually, he asked you, and you're not gonna just say yes for the sake of the fact that he asked. You need to be convinced that you're going on this date because you got other things you could be doing at the same date or in the same time. So you're going to want to know what kind of date it is, where is it located at, so that you can kind of identify like how much does he plan on spending on this date, how much preparation is he going to put on this date. Doesn't matter if he takes all of his first dates on this type of excursion. The fact is that he's taking you on this excursion, and likely he's going to pay for it. That's going to be what gets you to go out on a date. So you're not in a scenario where he wants to take you out on a date, and most women will say, well, how about instead of us going on a date, how about the two of us just meet up for coffee and hang out for a couple of hours and see if we get to if we vibe together or like each other's interests. And then if we do like each other's interests, then let's go out on a date. No woman ever says that. Most women are either I'm not interested because you look like shit. I'm not interested because you sound like shit. I'm not interested because your job is shit. Or I'm not interested because you're not offering to take me someplace expensive. Never once does a woman say, well, let's get to know each other first and then decide on the date next. Let's just have like a meet and greet at a local coffee shop. Let's just have a little meet and greet in the grocery aisle at the Walmart and buy us some Fuji spring water or some shit. Let's just like meet up at the park and hang out in the middle of the day for lunch or some shit on my day off. That no woman does that. And that's going to be one of the issues that men have when it comes to dating. Oh, let me get through all these comments. He said, "I was born in the '80s, so I don't have all those social numbers. It's keep it pushing, bro. That's what I'm telling you. I don't have outside of this podcast, bro. Every social media platform that I am on is through this podcast. Without this podcast, I am not on social media. So nobody's gonna be like, "Ooh, I'm gonna go find his individual handle." You're not gonna find shit. What does she do to make me happy? I agree. That's a good, but that's a question. Nicole knows. It takes time and patience. It really does. But see, the other thing that it takes a different decision making requirement because if the time that a man is putting into getting to know a woman and the patience that the man is expressing is for the goal to get laid, he's not finding the right woman. And if the time that a woman invests in a man and the patience is based on how much money he's willing to spend, she's not investing in the man in the right way either because what she wants is a long term, guaranteed financial success story. She doesn't want a financial burden. She doesn't want a guy that gambles up all of his extra money on the weekends where she's got to cover the difference for the loan sharks. What she doesn't want is a guy that's partying with his homeboys, making it rain in the club, taking all the money that she just got off of her bonus, where he's spending all this extra money impressing people out in the street so that he's the man in the club, but he ain't shit trying to borrow money to cover the parking fee so he can get his car out of the paid parking lot. You want to make sure that you're getting the right person. See what I'm saying? I said Nicole went on a date. Are you thinking of his money? Not a lot of women. There are too many women that do, but a lot of the times the women are going subconsciously because of how much he's spending on the date. She said, "No, I'm thinking of what his character is. Is he abusive, bully, mean, things like that?" So you're just looking for all the red flags in a man. But if he's not abusive, if he's not a bully, if he's not mean, but he's financially irresponsible, if he's inconsiderate, where he's not paying attention to your needs, if he's disingenuous, where he's primarily just doing things to impress you, while those aren't necessarily clearly obvious negative traits. In the long term, he's going to buy you gifts to shut you up. In the long term, he's going to spend extra money on you because he's never there. In the long term, he's going to forget all of the most important things in your life, like your promotions, your you opened up a new business, the kids soccer practice, the martial arts, everything, the football team. He's always going to be prioritizing something else and not thinking about you or the family. So it does there's a lot more to his character than just is he a piece of shit as far as like Chris Brown behavior patterns, you know. But you should be paying attention a little bit to his money because is he wasteful? Think about this, Nicole. You got a dude. He doesn't spend a lot of money on taking girls out on dates, but he's got a $150,000 car that he drives around. No, let's be more realistic. He's got a 1980 something, doesn't matter what it is, 22-inch chrome rims, lift kit, uh, $10,000 stereo system, tinted windows, a custom paint job that cost him $11,000. The car itself might be valued at $5,000, but he has spent about 25 or $30,000 on this car. And this is just one of his cars, right? Now, when you look at that car, do you think financially irresponsible? Because if the answer to that question is not yes, you're not paying attention to the right things. Because while he owned that car, every time he got extra money to put into his pocket, he wasted it on this car. And this is all stuff that was depreciating value. That's part of his character. Yeah, you're right, Michael. Nicole won't be in a relationship like that. No, she won't. She's smart enough to back away from the guys that are physically violent. But a lot of the times, the same way a woman has to pay attention to other things with the man, the men have to pay attention to other things with the woman as well. She says, we can correct financial instability. I can't create a non-abusive man. Well, see, you can't correct financial instability the same way you can't create a non-abusive man, because if the abusive man is only abusive based on simple anger management situations from past traumas, where it's past traumas from his mama, past traumas from his last ex-girlfriend, past trauma from his baby mama, you are willing to support him through his efforts of going to therapy and finding other ways to vent his anger and communicate so that he's not abusive. If he's willing to change, a past abusive man who only knew how to act out of anger because he grew up in domestic violence can change. The same way a man is willing to waste money on souping up his car, financially irresponsible, is still got to choose to not be financially irresponsible. So you're not gonna, if you see a wasteful dude, unless you show him the error of his ways, which means you're getting a fixer upper, and we just talked yesterday about getting fixer uppers is not a good thing for you. He's not going to financially change. You're going to date him. He's not going to waste money for a period of time, but at some point, he's going to want to upgrade this or do that or whatever the case may be. And then he's going to be wasting money on this car. You're going to get pissed off about that. You're going to lash out on him about that. He's going to retaliate on you about that. Y'all are going to end up in an argument. Eventually, y'all are going to break up because he's wasting all his money on his car, like Tim the Toolman Taylor. More power. You know what I'm saying? There are certain things that you can, so when you can correct financial instability where you have a financially unknowledgeable person who wants to do better about themselves but they don't know how, that is a person that you can fix because they made bad financial decisions because they were misguided, and now they're trying to improve that. But an individual that's just wasteful, like for example, Rick Ross spending 100 grand in one night, you're not going to be able to talk him out of doing that if he has the money to do it, right? Which means that you have to accept the irresponsible behavior. And I discourage anybody to accept irresponsible behavior, men or women alike. He said, thinking you can mold or change a person is wishful thinking. Acceptance is going to be key. True, but you're not supposed to accept something that is going to contradict your success going forward in life. Says, so do you actually still believe in love? Because I do. Well, love is a conscious choice to dedicate yourself to a specific individual, and finding a person to dedicate yourself to and be in love with is always possible. But being in love with a person that is going to sabotage your success, where you're going to go from climbing the ladder of success to falling into financial instability and relying on government assistance because you can't do better, is two different things. Why be in love with an anchor that will sink you to the bottom of the ocean when you could be in love with somebody that is a hot air balloon that's going to take you to the highest parts of the sky? Love is a conscious choice. You are not helpless to the ability to fall in love. You choose who you fall in love with, but you have to choose wisely as to who should you dedicate your love to. Should it be the person that keeps you on Section 8, Or should it be the person that aids you in owning the entire neighborhood? That is your choice because you can only do so much in a partnership. Your partner has to do some because no woman should carry the relationship financially. No man should carry the whole relationship emotionally. There's supposed to be some level of effort from both sides, even if it's not 50-50, even if it's 70-30 on some things and 30-70 on others, even if it's 60-40 on some things and 40-60 on others. There's supposed to be a reasonable effort from both sides in every area of the relationship in order for shared goals to be truly shared goals, right? Because of a passport, bro, is to hop on a plane, fly to the Philippines, go grab a girl from Elena that take her out of the infinite wisdom of poverty, bring her to America, put her in a $50,000 a year lifestyle where her standard of living was like $10,000 a year in the Philippines. She just leveled up. All she wanted in life was to have a good life, right? Now, if he can give her that and she's willing to give him what he needs out of that, then you're in a position where the help that he needs, the cooperation that he needs, the partnership that he needs, he can get that without the negative back talk, without the devaluation that he would get from an Americanized woman. But an Americanized woman that's making $55,000 a year on her own is not going to want to date a man that's making 45,000 a year because she's going to assume that he's broke, which also puts her in a position where she's deciding to get rid of a man who has a good character, who has a good personality, who just does not have the finances right now, and devalue that person instead of building wealth with that person. Where two people making 40,000 a year combined income, $80,000 a year, living a $50,000 a year lifestyle, puts $30,000 a year in the bank. She still gets her hair, nails, and everything else did look the way she looked before she met him. But there's two people living off one income, taking the other income, investing it. 30,000 a year for 10 years is $300,000 plus interest, almost $500,000. Where you're looking at, depending on the brokerage account you're utilizing, you can find yourself in 20 years at over $1 million. And that's two people that are making $10,000 above the poverty line. You're in the bottom 25 percentile when you meet each other, but now you're in the top 25 percentile after 20 years of being together. That is a different mentality. You can choose to love somebody who will aid you in being successful versus choosing to love somebody that's going to keep you living in the slums. He said, I won't even try to fix people. Damn right. They try to fix shit. They look like a problem. I'm like, nope. Try to fail. We'd have tried that Captain Kirk scenario. We'd have tried that Captain Save them, and they didn't want to be saved. He said 90-10, she's got a checkbook. Sounds like all men have left is Mary and her five sisters. I don't know. The what A lot of good women are married, but there are a lot of good women that are single over the age of 30, unwilling to change, looking for the type of man that meets their needs, but not paying attention to what men need because she knows what she wants, but she doesn't know what he needs. And then the problem that we're going to have is that she's not willing to change for him. So while that woman could be inherently a good woman to that man if she made it to the wedding, he's not willing to perform unless he did pass the background check, financial background check, criminal background check, job background check. You know what I mean? He's got to meet all of her expectations, and then she's going to linger, but she's not going to perform until after the marriage. And if she performs after the marriage, because a lot of women will perform leading to the marriage, and whatever she's willing to do, that's the most she's going to do. And a lot of times, these women are going to then stop performing after the marriage and be less than what they were before the marriage, which is why a lot of marriages fail because, again, they got into it for the wrong reasons. He says the Philippines is way too far. Uh, when I'm ready to start dating again, I will drive to what is it, Atlanta? That city is full of single women. He said, make sure it's a cis one. Uh, Look, hey, you can go wherever you want to go to find a woman of value. You don't have to go to the Philippines. I use the Philippines as an example, and the reason being is because the culture in Asia is family oriented. The culture in America is not, plain and simple. So the issue that you're going to have is that women teach other women to abandon the family lifestyle, be successful single women, and then mistreat men because men are not valuable anymore. Right now, there are good men out there, but the women will use the excuse of all of the bad men out there to justify bad female behavior. But the problem is that those women eventually want to become wives and want to start families, even if it's later in life, and they can't find the right man because they have been soured against men, which is one of the reasons why this podcast is here, is to help men behave better and perform better so that the women have better options. But then when you have better options, you have to perform better. Just like when you go to buy you a car at a used car lot, you don't need to have a lot of stuff. Cash up front, 5 grand car. They'll sell you anything as long as you can afford it. But when you start talking about $120,000 car, you start talking about a $400,000 car, you start talking about a Rolls Royce versus a 50-year-old Toyota Corolla. At the end of the day, that Rolls Royce, you got to meet the criteria. It's a better quality vehicle by price, but you have to be a better quality purchaser in order to qualify for the vehicle. Same thing that happens in relationships. As a woman, you can find a low down dirty shame in the hood and don't have to perform because he doesn't perform. But if you want a man of value as a woman, you have to carry yourself as a higher level of value. Now, from today's topic, as a men from a male's perspective, if you're trying to find a woman of value as men, you have to perform better as men, but then your standards are going to be higher in order for you to find a better quality woman. And that's going to require a lot of women to change the way they behave if they want to be the diamond in the rough that is seen amongst all of the women that are not worthy of being in a relationship. Because there's probably maybe 20 to 25% of women that are not worth being in a relationship, that are not wife material, that makes the other 75% of women look bad. The same way there's a small percentage of bad cops that makes the entire police force look bad. The fact is that that group of undateable, unmarriable women are always in the dating pool, while the larger quantity of higher value women that are not always in the dating pool are harder to find because the one time a good woman goes out once a year is going to be in the cluster of women that go out every weekend. So you're not going to be able to tell the difference between a high quality woman versus a low quality woman until you start looking for the signs. The same way you can't tell the difference between a blown transmission in a car with a good body style versus a fully rebuilt engine in a car with a bunch of rust and scratches on it. You don't know what the inside is about until you get in and test drive it. You don't know what the character of the woman is about until you start spending a lot of time around it. But if you're spending a lot of time around her by spending money on her to convince her to stay, you're not able to find out if this is the woman that you want before you start spending money on her. And likewise, if she is only going to go when men offer to spend a lot of money, she is not paying attention to the personality and the character, right? She might be looking at the personality and the character while she's on the date, but she went on the date because he's paying, because of the price tag of the date. And if he's got a kind of a decent character, she'll probably go on a second date, but she went because of how much he's paying. He said, so are you saying we should test drive her before marriage? Yes, yes, everything except for the sex. You should test drive. You should test her wife behavior outside the bedroom before marriage. Because, like I said before, guys, like Pokemon, a woman is a Pikachu and you can't touch her with a moonstone and she evolves into a wife. Whatever she was before you marry her is what she will be after you marry her, if not worse. It works the same way with men. If he wasn't shit before you married him, he's not going to be shit after you marry him. You can't marry him and hope that things will get better. If it ain't good before the marriage, why are you getting married? For the sake of the kids? Fuck that. You stay together in a toxic relationship, showing children a toxic environment, which they're going to think that's what love is. That's not what love is, right? So you should see the wife material in a woman before you marry her, before you get engaged, before you move her into your house, before you start spending lots of money on her. And she should see husband material out of the man before she starts sleeping with him. Stefan says love sucks. It does if you fall for the wrong person. A recent survey showed that 49% of men admit to hiding something money related from their partner, often due to shame or embarrassment. The pressure is going to be so immense that it creates a culture of silence and fear. You're so busy building your castle that you never learn how to be the king of that castle. The second major flaw is seeing a relationship as a pure expense. The average all in cost of a date in America can climb towards $189 per date or more. That's when you're paying for the whole thing, not going Dutch. With costs like that, it's easy to see dating as a financial drain. Guys literally think, how much is this relationship costing me per month? And they see the dinner bills, the gifts, and the vacations. It's an outgoing expense that subtracts from the income column. But this is completely backwards ways of looking at it. It's like an amateur investor only looking at the price of the stock without ever considering its potential for growth or the dividends that it may pay in the long term. So you're tracking the cost, but you are completely ignoring the value. And more importantly, you're ignoring the risk. He said, we're not married in heaven because it's heaven. The acting broke is my specialty. But see, I agree with that, Michael. But one of the things, make sure that y'all like and subscribe and match those reaction buttons as y'all come through tonight. But one of the things I also believe, Michael, is that we shouldn't actually have to act broke. I do believe that we should look broke financially. We should really walk out there with average clothes like I got on right now, where we're not putting on a visible show for people to come run over there because I'm wearing Louis Vuitton or some shit. But at the same time, I shouldn't act like I don't have any money. I should behave as if I'm not willing to spend whatever money I have on things that I don't value. That's not acting broke. That is showing, expressing financial responsibility. We may go to the movies because I don't want to sit next to other people. I might pay for the bleachers. I might pay for the balcony seat with the 3D glasses and shit. I'm not paying for the 3D glasses on the balcony so that I can impress you. I am paying for that because I don't want to be next to the kids down at the bottom throwing popcorn at one another. There's a difference. I might take you to dinner at a Sonic because I wanted fucking Sonic, not because I couldn't afford to take you to a five-star restaurant. Because you catch me on a right day, I might take you to Texas Cattleman or Ruby Tuesdays or some shit like that, right? Because that's where I wanted to go. So we're not acting broke. We are recognizing that I don't have value in that action or activity there, so I am not willing to pay for it. So I could have a wallet with $1,000 in it and still not be willing to pay for that yacht party because I don't have interest in that. I don't have a value in that yacht party. But I understand your dynamic. Before I started learning these things, that's exactly what I did, Steven. I had a really expensive car and then a really cheap car. And I would go places with the cheap car because if she ain't willing to talk to me with the beater, then she ain't willing to talk to me with the brand new one. Michael said, if you made it this far in life, you are not a failure. That is true. That's Steven's statement. Being frugal as well. Well, being frugal is one way. Well, billionaires are frugal. They don't spend their own money on things that aren't going to turn a profit for them. A lot of the times, Billionaires will find something that does have value in it. And if they put any money into the situation, they will put in just enough to get the thing started. But a lot of times, billionaires will find something of value and tell other people about it. After they have calculated their profit out of it, then they tell what is called investors how much the other investors can get out of putting their money on the startup so that when the business is successful, the investors get their cut, the business gets its cut, and whatever's left over is your profit for bringing everybody together. Being frugal is a form of financial responsibility. And that's not something that women are paying attention to. So instead of just looking at is he abusive, is he aggressive, is he mean, is he frugal, is he financially responsible? I mean, is he taking me out on a night of bowling because that's probably the cheapest thing that we could do that's active? Or hold on, he might decide me, him, my friend, his friend, the four of us go out and split this night. And now it's $80 for four people instead of $80 for two people and start showing some financial responsibility. You know, I was sitting over there thinking, I seen somewhere where they've got these private jets. They're like $4,000 one way trips because the jet flew somewhere. There's nobody in the plane. Somebody's got to pay for the plane to fly back. And instead of you paying $4,000 for a private jet to impress everybody, if everybody was flying in this specific direction in the group and you divide that up like a Groupon, everybody's paying $250 to $500 a person to fly that flight. And now y'all are getting on a private jet to fly as a group because it's fiscally responsible. The cost of the plane ticket for you guys to ride coach is now the cost of everybody flying one direction in a private jet. You now can take your team of eight, your friend group of everything. Yeah, standby flight. Yeah, the friend group of 8 or 12 that all would have went anyway to fly coach. Y'all now can one way on a private jet, right? People don't think about stuff like that, but if you had a man that was fiscally responsible, that's what y'all would have done. So now it's not, ooh, he got me a private jet. It's, ooh, he booked us a flight that prevented us from having to deal with other people. And everybody either saved money or had an upgrade in their travel and spent the same amount of money. Because if eight people spent $250 for a private jet to fly one direction, most of us would have flew American Airlines, Spirit, Breeze, and paid the same 250 and would have been flying fucking coach, knees up against the wall, badass kid kicking the seat, somebody baby crying, and we would have been pissed off. But now we've got eight people that we know each other, and we're being fed champagne and food and everything on the flight for the same price. You only get that from somebody who's financially responsible. It's a better quality of life for the same price. That's what you're supposed to be paying attention to. But fellas, the reality is going to be that financial incompatibility is going to be one of the greatest risks to your long-term stability and wealth. Arguments about money are consistently the strongest predictor of divorce, more so than arguments about chores or intimacy or even the in-laws. A well-known study of over 4,000 couples confirmed that this is a devastating link. It's not a minor issue. It is the issue. Recent data shows that about 24% of couples point to financial problems as a cause of their separation. Another report found that nearly one in four people have ended a relationship specifically because of financial incompatibility. So think about that for a second. What I'm telling y'all is true. You're getting into these relationships paying attention to the wrong stuff. The person you choose to fall in love with could have a 1 in 4 chance of torpedoing your life simply because your financial philosophies don't align. So, Nicole, when you said that you don't pay attention to a man's money, now you see why I'm telling you that's not the only thing you're supposed to be paying attention to. It's not how much he spends, it's how he spends it that you're supposed to be paying attention to. Uh, he said money is the number problem in marriage, number one problem in marriage. Yes. You got to understand, a lot of people believe that cheating and infidelity is like the biggest problem in relationships. Cheating and infidelity is a byproduct to a problem in the relationship. And a lot of women don't understand that. A lot of men don't understand that. A lot of men believe, special shout out to Red Void and Danny Steffen over at Twitch. I see you, brother. A lot of men and a lot of women in relationships just believe that the person that cheated, that the person that was unfaithful was just an ain't shit person in a relationship. But 9 times out of 10, the relationship started going south. Nobody paid attention to it. And one of the people, doesn't matter if it was the dude or the chick, one of the people starts looking for positivity outside of the relationship, whether it's emotional connection, physical connection, just a peace of mind somewhere else, mutual respect, validation, confirmation, appreciation, somewhere else because it's not in a relationship. So the arguments about money could lead to one of the people going to live with somebody who doesn't have to argue about money. The arguments about insignificant stuff like not putting the sugar on the shelf because you have argued about money so much that the resentment is starting you guys to argue about insignificant things because you're just pissed off at each other, but you're not communicating and you're not working out the fact that you're pissed off at each other. And then the frequent arguments leads to the divorce. It leads to the deception. You find happiness with someone else. You love your partner. You don't want to leave your partner, but you find peace with someone else. That's where the infidelity starts coming in at. He says, the lack of money is the root of all evil. That is ultimately true because a lot of people believe that the root to all evil is money, but no, it's actually the lack of access to the money that leads to all the worst decisions. Because the people who have too much money really make the worst decisions because they had no value in themselves before they got the money. The cheating is the number problem in marriage. Cheating is the number one byproduct in a marriage. Cheating is the number one byproduct in a marriage. Um, and the reason why I'm going to say it like that, the reason why I'm going to say the cheating, and I know that somebody's going to pull up some statistics that shows, yeah, 60% of infidelity. But when you think about financial infidelity, where you're hiding your money, you're spending your boyfriend's money without him knowing about it. Those women that have emergency escape accounts where they siphon money out of their joint bank account and put it into a personal bank account and not tell their partner about it. When a guy buys something and doesn't tell his girl about it, then she finds out about it and then they have a fight about it. When she's buying shit from Amazon and he doesn't know what's going on, but then he sees the credit card bills and the package is showing up on the doorstep. Financial infidelity is a form of cheating with your finances. And that is part of today's discussion about how getting the wrong person can lead to your relationship tanking faster than somebody cheating on you with somebody else. Because a person can start dating somebody that's financially responsible so that we're not arguing about money. And that will lead to an affair. A person will find themselves um, ghosting their partner because we fight so much about money. Now, the partner that's being ghosted now has an emotional void because they're not receiving attention from their partner because their partner is trying to avoid conflict. Now, due to the lack of emotional attention, now you're going to get emotional attention from somewhere else, and there goes your affair. So while the the end factor of the marriage was finally someone cheated, what led to the cheating more often than not was something less severe that could have been rectified before the decision to cheat ever became a thing. Cheating is a byproduct, it is not a core issue. Financial inequality in each other's mindsets is a core issue that can lead to future problems, that can lead to the infidelity. The difference between you spending more money on groceries versus him spending more money on jewelry is the difference between y'all falling apart in the relationship. So it is a high factor of separation, but it is a byproduct of a bigger problem that is not being addressed in the relationship. Now, somebody do the research and correct me if I'm wrong because I'm going to be here for a while tonight. He said, no matter what, let me put this up here for y'all. He said, no matter what, I would leave before I would cheat. If a woman cheated, she's gone. Right. But see, that's the thing. You would leave because of the lack of happiness. She would leave sometimes for the same reason, but for different causes. You don't like the way she's treating you. She don't like what you're not paying for. She don't like your lack of availability. She doesn't like your lack of emotional investment because you're shutting yourself off because you have gone into survivor mode because she keeps nagging you about stuff that you can't control. You know, ultimately it's a byproduct. So while yeah, you may not cheat on her, you may break up with her, but you will be breaking up with her because of the arguments. And if the arguments are because of money, you could have fixed that. So this isn't just about the arguments either. It has real world consequences that can last a lifetime. The financial cost of an average divorce can easily run between fifteen to $20,000 bare minimum, and that is before you even get to splitting the assets. And for a second marriage, the divorce rate jumps to over 60%. So while a woman's household income often drops significantly after the divorce, a man also takes a major hit, with some studies showing a drop of around 10 to 20%. So you can spend a decade building your net worth only to watch it vaporize in legal fees because you failed to vet the single most important variable. The economic pressure is going to be immense here. Some studies have found that as many as 1 in 4 Americans who want a divorce feel they can't afford to get it. Now they're in a divorce or now they're in a relationship out of resentment because they cannot afford to get out of the relationship. You are literally sentencing yourself to a prison of your own making, financially trapped in a failed relationship. And that's going to be one of those relationships where you cheat. You're not happy in this relationship. You're not going to divorce them. You don't want this person anymore, but you can't get rid of them. Byproduct. You're going to end up broke or you're going to end up trapped. And it is definitely recognized there will be resentment by this point. You resent her for the money you spent, the money she spent. You resent yourself for the time wasted, for ignoring those red flags. This is the brutal reality of the great disconnect. By treating your love life and financial life as separate entities, you are walking into the biggest bear trap on the path to success, completely unprepared for the outcome. He said 811. It don't work that way because when in a relationship, they suspect the partner first. So in order for you to not be the prime suspect, it has to be an accident on the opposite side of town where you had absolutely nothing to do with it. It cannot be traced back to you. It's got to be brake failure. It's got to be a food allergy. It's got to be a slip and fall in a pool on the other side of town where you are nowhere near the event. Because if you had an undisclosed period of time that allows for you to be at the scene, you're the prime suspect. Any life insurance that you have out on your partner, as long as you are a suspect of it, that's foul play. You get nothing out of the life insurance policy. So it has to be natural causes or it has to be a clear Kobe Bryant situation in order for you to get paid. That's like the only way that it works out. Now, if we don't pay attention to this, if we accept that our partner is not just an emotional choice, but a critical financial choice, then it stands to reason that this choice leads you down one of two very different paths. Every man stands at this fork in the road, whether he realizes it or not. On the one side, you've got a partner, number one, and this path is going to be the first path that we're going to discuss. This is the path where most men stumble onto by accident. This is the path of the wealth killer. This is the partner who acts as a constant headwind, fighting your progress. She is the financial anchor, the ambition sinkhole, the one that criticizes your dreams, the one that says that what you're doing is stupid, the one that discourages you from getting that promotion because she doesn't think you can handle it, the one that doesn't want you to get that promotion because it'll cause you to travel further, the one that'll discourage you from chasing your dreams. This is going to be the drama machine that drains your resources when you guys are always in insignificant arguments where you now got to go buy something to apologize to her for something that you didn't do wrong to make up for. Your focus and your will to succeed all compromised. This path doesn't always look obvious at first because you're typically blinded by the fact that she's attractive and you're willing to sleep with her. And by far, she might be willing to sleep with you in the beginning. Typically, when they stop being willing to sleep with you, that's when you start paying attention. It's a little too late at that point. But it can be disguised with a lot of charm. It's going to be disguised with a lot of beauty. It's going to be disguised with a lot of excitement. But the end result is always going to be the same. At some point, after the first 90 days of the relationship, sometimes you're going to start seeing stagnation, resentment, and financial ruin. She will keep you broke, not just in your bank account, but in your spirit as well. On the other side of things, because there's also a better quality woman there. You have path number two. This is going to be the path that you must choose deliberately. And this is the path of the wealth builder. This is the partner who acts as a tailwind, accelerating your journey. She's your strategic ally, your emotional bedrock, your co CEO in the business of life. She doesn't just support your visions, she enhances it. She doesn't just protect your resources, she helps you multiply them. This is the woman who understands that a partnership is a team sport and she is committed to winning alongside you. The right woman doesn't cost you money, she helps you make it. Your job as a man trying to build a successful life is to become a master at telling these two types of past, these two types of women apart. It is the single most important skill that you can develop. It's more important than learning to code, more important than learning to sell, more important than learning to invest, because your success in all those other areas will be either amplified or nullified by this one decision. So let's break down exactly what each of these paths look like so that you can spot them from a mile away. And make sure that you guys mash those reaction buttons and hit that like button as you're coming through. The wealth killer isn't always a cartoon villain. She doesn't walk around with a sign that says, I'm here to drain your bank account and sabotage your dreams. Often, she's a product of her own financial illiteracy, not deliberate behaviors. This is her own insecurities or her own misaligned values. But intent doesn't matter. The outcome is still the same. So while she wasn't there to deliberately drain your bank account, because we got a lot of financially scorned men that have dated women that they call gold diggers because the woman was, you started with your wallet and she just allowed it. That's not her fault. You fucked up as a man. But when you're dating women that do not have financial literacy because they weren't taught it, not because they're deliberately fucking it up, because they don't know a better way to do things, that can be a disaster. Even if she's willing to learn, if you allowed her to fuck up the money in trial and error, somebody still got to pay to fix that. Spending the same dollar in two different places costs you $30 as an NSF fee. Not paying for something on time negatively impacts your credit score, negatively impacts your on time payment history, negatively impacts your ability to get loans, negatively impacts your ability to finance housing, negatively impacts your ability to have lower insurance. It's just the accent, the difference between, and this is the same financial illiteracy that some men have as well, that negatively impacts your ability to go from building life to struggling. And it's not a deliberate thing, but if you see it and you don't do something about it, you're allowing yourself to fail with her. So let's dissect these three main archetypes of the wealth killer so that you know exactly what it looks like. And ladies, I want y'all to pay attention because these are the same type of characteristics that you can probably find in the men that you're choosing, which would allow you to pay more attention to something other than how much you're spending on the first date. This first archetype is going to be the spender, the lifestyle inflator. This is the most obvious and common one. The spender is a woman who views your income as her lifestyle. She suffers from a chronic inability to live within her means, and she's going to see your success not as something to be proud of, but as a resource to be consumed. She's going to be the queen of lifestyle creep. The moment you get a raise, she has a list of ways to spend the money: a more expensive apartment, a luxury car lease, designer clothes, extravagant vacations. Your hard earned money disappears into the black hole of impulse buys and status driven purchases. Before we go any further, you find men that do the same thing. As soon as they get a raise, they want to upgrade their car. They want to buy them a new car, upgrading all their cell phones, stuff that wasn't broke. They're just going to replace it just to get a new one. You know, lifestyle creep, vacation homes, all of this extra shit. They're going to go from a 20-year renting scenario with a landlord that they have a good financial relationship with to trying to finance a house that is like 60% of their income where they can barely afford to cover it on their own. You can see this on both sides of the fence. The data is terrifyingly clear on this one. In surveys of couples who feel financially incompatible, 38% blame their partner for overspending. Doesn't matter if it's men or women, 38% will blame the other person for overspending. It is a primary source of conflict. Another 34% say that their partner just doesn't manage money well. That is 72% of people. So, uh, when Nicole was saying that cheating is like the number one problem in marriage, 38% of people are saying that financial issues is their partner's fault, and another 34% are just saying that they don't know what they're doing. That is 72% of people saying that their partner's fucking up the money. Just 24% of them break up because of it. They break up specifically because of the money. Some of them build resentment, and then after they build resentment, they build infidelity, and then after the fidelity, that's the final straw. That's why I told you that it was a byproduct. Joy has become the leading driver for consumer spending. And for someone without discipline, this is a recipe for disaster. She's not thinking about the future, about assets, about security. She's thinking about the next hit of dopamine from a new purchase. She is the vibes only financial planner. You know, I'm buying this because it got good vibes about it. I feel good about it, right? It makes me feel good to go shopping. That's not the mentality that you need to be successful. Here's how it's going to show up. Early on in a relationship, it's going to be subtle. She might make comments about how she deserves nice things. She might express disappointment when you suggest a budget friendly date, which is why I tell you, don't even offer the date. And the first, it's like, I want to get to know you better. Maybe we can meet up for coffee. I'm not asking you out on a date. I just want to talk to you. This 36-ounce cup of coffee, hour and 30 minutes so far. By the time I finish this cup, I should know if I want to have something else to do with you. By the time I get hungry drinking this coffee, I should know that I want to continue communicating with you while I eat. That's why your ass went to dinner because I was hungry, not because I want to impress you. She might have a credit card balance that she's vague about. Huge red flags is going to be debt. I know a lot of women check men for their debt because, I mean, shit, you got to have a financially stable dude. And I completely agree with that. But what man pays attention to his woman's financial debt? Women quickly ask a man, what does he do for a living and how much money does he make? And women are quick to project, what does she do for a living and how much money she makes, because that is how women value men. That's not how men value women. But in order for you to have a financially successful woman, instead of asking her, what does she do for a living and how much money does she make, you might want to ask better questions like, how much credit card debt do you have? What's your credit score? How many collections have you experienced over the past 7 years? How many charge off accounts have you had? Any unpaid debt you got swinging around that I need to know about before we get started? Y'all got to understand, because this is where the money's going to go. When y'all decide to build y'all lives together, this is where the money is going to go to pay for this shit that was lingering before your relationship started. Because anything negative on your credit report that interferes with your ability to get a loan today is something that was on your credit report for the last 7 years. If you got into a relationship within the last 2 years, shit that happened 4 years before you met this person is negatively impacting that person's ability to succeed with you today. Your past financially is fucking up your current partner in the present. I'm not saying y'all need to get y'all credit right before y'all start dating, but what I'm saying is paying attention to somebody's financial past more than their financial present might tell some tales about what you're getting yourself into. Surveys show a significant portion of the population sees debt as a deal breaker. 37% of people would refuse to marry someone that's already in debt. And 56% of unmarried people wouldn't even date someone with high debt. And we're not talking about student loans. We're talking about everything else outside of student loans. Yet, the spender often has a casual, almost flippant attitude towards this topic. It's just fun money or something to be dealt with later. The danger here is going to be twofold. First, there's a direct financial drain. You find yourself working harder and harder just to maintain a lifestyle that brings you no real joy because you spend all your time at work. Your savings rates plummet. You can't invest. You can't build a safety net. You can't take the calculated risks that you need to do in order to get to the next level. Because a lot of times you got to put a large down payment on some shit in order to reap the benefits. If you can't get the fucking down payment, you can't reap the benefits. What if you wanted to get a 2024 certified pre-owned vehicle and you needed 5 grand down so that you no longer have to deal with the vehicle repair? They give you a platinum package warranty, bumper to bumper, everything except for the brakes on the car is going to be fixed, right? Even the tires get free tire repair for the life of the loan for the next 5 to 7 years, and which ultimately means that you're just going to pay a flat fee for the car note, and the whole car, like a lease car, is going to be good to go for you. You can't even put the money down on that because your partner keeps spending up all the money. You are perpetually on a hamster wheel, running faster just to stay in the same place. Now, ladies, y'all are gonna find some dudes that do the same shit. How you trying to upgrade y'all standard to a better standard live? Motherfucker got PlayStation subscription, Xbox subscription, 38,000 games, of fucking GameStop membership where they're buying $1,279 games a month, the next whatever that just came out, and can't spend shit for shit. Like, it's the same. You see this in dudes. Wait, hold on. Wait, we got the other dudes that's fucking guns all over the place. $15,000 worth of ammunition in a room, $25,000 worth of firearms. You got a 3 bedroom apartment where 1 bedroom is just guns. I mean, there's that too. You've got the wasteful dude that's always spending money on cigarettes and beer or weed and beer, and now you're looking at $1,000 a month on just getting fucked up every day. You've got that. And they don't even have to be like severely fucked up. They could just be doing it to get the buzz, 2 to 3 drinks a day, every day, a pack a day, 2 packs a day, every day. And you come to find that they're spending fucking $25,000 a year on just cigarettes and beer. Not even getting hammered on a regular basis, just the habit of making sure that you always got something to drink that is an alcoholic beverage, and always making sure that you got something to smoke whenever your nerves is bad. Your nerves is always bad because you don't make enough money. You don't make enough money because you're spending 25,000 a year on cigarettes and beer, and you hate your fucking job. So you pissed off when you go to work. You're pissed off when you come back. And what people do when they're pissed off, they self medicate, drink a few drinks to calm down. The more pissed off you are, the more cases of beer you drink. You eventually get over the feeling, go back to work, get pissed off tomorrow. Now you got 2 cases of beer every day. That's $50 a day on beer, right? 50 bucks a day on beer every 10 days is $500. Steven said, that's way too new. Grab something 2016 or older. But see, Steven, if you're okay, a certified pre-owned vehicle goes back to a certain year. I agree with you though. Yes. 2024 is too new, but certified vehicle would be going as far back as I want to say 2023 or 2022 right now, with like 3,000 miles on it. And if you wanted to do that, where everything was covered in the warranty and the repairs and everything to that effect, you could get something like that where you're paying like $300 $400 a month for the car, $300 $400 a month for the insurance because it's a new vehicle. So now you're paying like 600 700 a month for your vehicle, and you good. Or you can get you a 2016, depending on what you're getting. You can get you a 2016 that doesn't have a warranty on it. You can get you some car shield insurance for it, and that could help you cover the car. You'd then be paying like $200 $250 a month for the car, maybe $200 $250 a month for the insurance, where you're paying $500 a month for the car every month for the entirety. But if you found you like a 2016 Nissan Versa for like $9,000, you can buy that cash up front. You can find you a 2016 Toyota Camry with like 107,000 miles on it. You can probably buy that one for $10,000 cash up front. Or you only got 5 grand, but it costs like $10,000. You can put half down, and now you're only paying $150 a month or $250 a month for the car for the course of 2 years. Either way, if you needed $2,000 for down payment on a 2016 or older, and your partner's spending up all the extra money, you still can't do it. But if you need to replace your current car, because your current car costs more to fix it than it does to replace it, once you start spending 5 grand on repairs, you could put 5 grand down on a car that you don't have to repair. And then you have to make the conscious choice: do I keep it and fix it, or do I just replace it? But if you can't afford the down payment to replace it, which is the same cost to fix it, then the bitch is just broke sitting in the yard and you're catching a bus. That's an issue that people don't pay attention to. Second, and more insidious, is the erosion of respect. This is another relationship. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe as y'all come through here and mash those reaction buttons, because this is some serious stuff. You start to see your partner not as a partner, but as a liability. Every paycheck feels like it's being siphoned off. This breeds deep seated resentment. You start to feel used, and that feeling is a cancer to intimacy and love in your relationship. You choose a partner, but you ended up with a very expensive dependent. And in modern 2025, a lot of us date women that don't feel like they have the responsibility of being the dependent and then being supportive and obedient in that dependency. They feel like they're supposed to be able to be the authority while being a financial dependent, which leads to a conflict of who's in charge, which is another issue in a relationship. Now, the second archetype, because I believe there were three of them: the dream killer, the ambition anchor. This archetype is far more subtle and in many ways more dangerous than the spender. And you're going to see this uh, in men as well. The dream killer doesn't necessarily drain your bank account directly. She drains your most valuable asset, your ambition. She's going to be the anchor that holds you in the harbor when you meant to be exploring the open seas. So how does she do that? Through 1,000 tiny cuts. She's going to be the one who reacts to your new business idea, not with excitement, but with fear and doubt. Isn't that risky? What if you fail? Are you sure you know what you're doing? She frames your ambition as the threat to her security. Now, ladies, y'all are going to experience this the same way from men. Are you sure you can handle that job? That's a lot of responsibility. Are you going to have enough free time for whatever, whatever? Dream killers, they come on both sides of the fence, right? She's also the master of creating drama. Her life is a constant series of small emergencies and emotional crises that demand your immediate attention. Just when you are about to have a breakthrough on a project, you're pulled into a 3 hour argument about something trivial. Your focus is constantly shattered. Your mental bandwidth, the very resource that you need to solve complex problems and build your future, is consumed by putting out fires that she either created or fanned. These are going to be situations where your partner is involved in something they're not supposed to be involved in, and now you have to play the hero and go save them from that. Whether it is they didn't pay a bill on time, they spent too much money now they don't have enough money for a bill, or they went somewhere you didn't want them to go and now they need your help. They didn't crash a car, they didn't got into a fight, they're about to be attacked, they're trapped, they're lost, they're stuck, they're all these things that are going on. Or like in those situations where we say that a lot of the times when we're looking for an obedient person, when we ask a woman to sit down and be quiet, she should be able to stop so that we can de-escalate the situation so it doesn't lead to the fight. The fanning of the fire is when you're in a relationship with a person where you're in a disagreement with a person that's not in your relationship, and she is instigating the situation to the point where now you have to get into a fight to stop her from getting into a fight, which now leads you to go to jail for the fight that you got into because she wouldn't shut up. That's another issue. Those Waffle House moments, it's a huge situation. It's no surprise that studies confirm a supportive partner is linked to higher job satisfaction and well-being. The dream killers provide the opposite. She creates an environment of stress and instability. Financial success requires immense focus, deep work, and the ability to delay gratification. The ambition anchor makes all of these things impossible because she demands constant attention and emotional validation, instantaneous gratification, leaving you with nothing left for your own goals. You'll notice that she doesn't have strong goals of her own. Her life's purpose seems to be centered around the relationship itself or maintaining comfort. She doesn't understand the fire in your belly because she doesn't have one herself. She tries to extinguish yours because your focus on your goals feels like a rejection of her. She'll use passive aggression, guilt trips, or manufactured drama to pull you back into her orbit and away from your work. You've ever seen those videos where, the dude is sitting there minding his business, doing something that he values, right? And then she comes and tries to sit in his lap and get in front of him and block his view and take his attention away from what he was doing. Doesn't matter if he was watching a game or playing a video game or whatever the case may be. She deliberately put herself in his way so that she now has his attention. That is completely unattractive. Ladies, if he wanted your attention, he would have found you in the house and gave you his attention, whether he was clowning around with you or whatever, saying something funny, acting childish, whatever the case may be, he would have found you in the house and at the very least been annoying as opposed to focused on whatever it is that he was focused on. So when your man is in the middle of something, whether he's playing games with his bros, whether he's playing games by himself, watching TV, whatever, whether you're on the computer doing work, there is no reason why you should distract him from whatever the fuck he's got going on, because that is what he valued in that moment. So if he was one of those career gamers where you get like what $500,000 to play video games a year, and you're going to stop him from doing that because you don't have value in him playing video games, but the video games pay for the house. That's going to be that Buzz Killington that we're talking about, right? The cost of this is immeasurable. It's the business that you never started, the promotion you were too drained to go for, the opportunity you were too distracted to see. Years go by and you find yourself in the exact same place, but now you're exhausted and disillusioned. You've traded your potential for a quiet life of mediocrity, and the resentment that you feel is not just towards her, but towards yourself for letting it happen. The third archetype, the victim, the resentment machine. This is the most toxic archetype of all of them. The victim operates on a fuel of perceived slights and manufactured inequality. She's a machine that endlessly produces resentment, poisoning the entire relationship. So if you earn more than her, she may weaponize it to create a narrative of dependency and control. Every financial decision becomes a power struggle. If you question a purchase, you're being controlling. If you're trying to set a budget, you're treating her like a child. She fosters a sense of learned helplessness, refusing to take financial responsibility while simultaneously resenting you for being the one in the driver's seat. She wants all the benefits of your income with none of the accountability, which is one of the things that men argue against on the regular basis these days. Another increasingly common scenario is when she earns more than you. This is one of the reasons why women believe that men are too insecure for a woman that has a career. It ain't that. It's how we treated about it after the fact. But it is not all women who have a good career that is a negative involvement in a relationship. It's the fact that we picked the wrong woman that's got a better career than us and what she's going to do with that new career. This can be especially challenging for men tied to the traditional provider identity. Research shows that women, when they out earn men, can threaten the man's sense of masculinity. So, the victim partner in this scenario will often use her higher income as a source of power. And uh, how you doing, Max Powell? He was here last time trolling the show. You better behave today. You'll find yourself more than just time out. Because last time you was over here getting reckless, I had to make you go sit in the corner somewhere. You need to behave yourself today. Um, because I like people don't have to agree with me when we talk on the show. It's just when you come, everybody came to learn. Everybody came to because we're talking about the ones that we need to avoid today, but we're going to end up talking about the ones we need to look for. So I want to make sure that you're paying attention because, truth be told, if you're paying attention, then you will learn. So, and a lot of people here will learn. We're going to learn new ways because this isn't just the way that men will find women. This is going to be the way that women find men too. So, uh, when you're looking at this, you're going to find certain types of uh, partners that are just not a good fit for you. And that's going to be one of the reasons why we're going to be sitting here addressing it the way we're going to be addressing it today. So I want to make sure that you're paying attention. Wow, who made this? I made this. So caution because you are on the fence from yet what like 2 3 days ago you are on the fence now. In these situations your partner might make subtle jabs about your income or jokingly offer to pay for everything in ways that feels emasculating. She may disrespect your work because it doesn't bring in the same quantity of money as hers. Regardless of the income disparity, the result is a toxic environment thick with resentment. You feel like you can't win because you're either the oppressor or the failure. This is constant emotional turmoil, and this turmoil is going to be very exhausting. It kills your confidence and it makes it impossible to maintain the positive, growth oriented mindset required for success. This is also going to be another issue because when you're in a relationship where you're dating a partner that is going to use the fact that they're more financially successful than you as a tool to devalue you in a relationship, you're not able to utilize their resources to invest in a higher standard of living or a higher financial success or a higher long-term retirement, specifically because they're not willing to share their income with you to make yourselves better individuals. Income disparity is wild. Well, income disparity is normal because you have 73% of Americans that are in that position. And then the bottom 25% are heavily in that position. Well, you say just get a job, but if you've got, let's say that you've got a 45,000, well, let's start with, we're going to talk about a reputable job. So let's say that you're a teacher. Inside of the first 3 years of your employment of being a teacher, you're making 35,000 a year. Teachers don't get paid a lot of money. Let's say your girlfriend is a nurse at the local hospital. She's making 45,000 a year. Nurses don't make a lot of money neither. She's making $10,000 a year more than you. She can make you feel like shit because while you got a degree and you're a teacher, she's got a degree and she's a nurse and she's making $10,000 more than you. At the end of the day, uh, she's in a position where if she is not a woman of value, she can make you feel bad about your job. She can devalue your ability to get tenure. She can devalue your ability to move up and potentially get more money from being a teacher. She will encourage you to go find you a different job, to go somewhere else and do something different, use your degree for something else because you're not making enough money. She's living a $70,000 a year lifestyle off of your combined $70,000 a year, and then she's going to complain that she wants a $90,000 a year lifestyle. That her, with her $45,000 a year income, can find a man that makes $60,000. And the problem with that dynamic is that if you're dating the kind of person that is not going to build with you, because if she's making 45 and he's making 30, and y'all are living on a $40,000 a year lifestyle, the 30 that he makes can be invested in your future where y'all can still make it a million in 20 years. So it's not just get a job or just get a better job. It's get a person that you can grow with because that person you can build on. Even if the person that you're with makes more money than you, if you're with somebody that's willing to grow, you guys can grow together. But if you're only with somebody that's willing to spend your money, she could be making $60,000 and you could be making $40,000. You could be making $70,000. She could be making $45,000, and it's going to be the same scenario. That's one of the reasons why we act as if individuals are not doing enough. So that's one of the reasons why we try to change the way we look at how our partners are talking to us, right? So when we're paying attention to this, you have to recognize that this is going to kill your confidence. It's going to make it impossible to maintain the positive growth oriented mindsets that you're going to be required to succeed, right? Now, you will stop seeing your partner as a teammate and you will start seeing them as an adversary. Well, yes, that is true. Um, there are some individuals that will like the finished product, but they don't want to put in the work to get that product. And while you might believe that that's super fun position to be in, at the end of the day, if it was happening to you, where you were the one being used as a finished product, where they were having super fun off of your efforts, you would not be satisfied with that, right? Um, the home, which should be your sanctuary and recharging station, can become the primary source of your stress. This is the ultimate wealth killer because it doesn't just take your money, it takes your peace of mind as well. And without that, you have nothing. Now, let's talk about the other path because the path that is chosen, not stumbled upon, is the path that we want to be on, the path of the wealth builder. This isn't about finding a woman who is making you rich. It is about finding a woman whose values, character, and vision are so aligned with yours that your combined energy creates a powerful engine for wealth creation that you all can benefit from. So let's explore primary archetypes for the type of woman that you can build with. Oh man, see, as soon as you did that, that's when I was like, well, I told you, buddy. I gave you an opportunity and I asked you to chill out and you did not pay attention. So go sit in the corner as I explained. You gonna go sit down somewhere. The first archetype is gonna be the financial partner, the CEO, the co-CEO. This is going to be the type of woman who understands that a household is not just a home, it is a small business. And she is your co CEO. So she is as invested in the financial health of your family as you are. This is a plus. She doesn't shy away from money conversations. She starts them. She wants to talk about the budget, the savings rates, the investment strategies, and the long term goals. And this isn't about her micromanaging you. It's going to be about sharp, sharp and shared ownerships. Which, if you pay attention to those relationship contracts, you have the financials down to a letter where whatever investment opportunities that she's putting into is clearly itemized in those relationship contracts, which leads to prenups where her financial investments in a relationship will have guaranteed returns. So if in the event that the relationship falls apart, you find yourselves in a position where she will get out of this whatever she put into it. And if you're building yourselves a trust where out of that trust, she's going to be guaranteed a specific allocation, she's got her guaranteed alimony. You don't got to worry about getting her more. She's going to get what she agreed to. Now, research from Notre Dame shows that couples who use joint bank accounts tend to spend more responsible uh, money and have stronger relationships than those who don't. Now, there's a built in accountability when you have to justify your spending to a partner that you respect. But this is explicitly for a partner that you respect. The co CEO understands this intuitively. She sees the power of combining forces. She has her own financial life in order and she has a good credit score. She lives within her means and she has her own savings and her own retirement goals, which means that when we start having these types of conversations, we actually pay attention to how this benefits us, right? So when she wants to know how much money you make, you need to know what she's got in her financial background, what her credit score look like, you know, because like I told you before, anything that financially has happened to her negatively within the last 7 years, if you are within the last 3 years, that likely is going to negatively impact you if you're trying to build with her over the next 3 years. You find a woman of value, she brings financial discipline to the table. Women don't see this. There's a reason financial responsibility is a top priority for over 90% of people looking for a partner. It's a powerful indicator of character. The power here is incredible, especially in a dual income scenario. This is what researchers call assortive mating, the tendency for people to pair up with others of similar drive and earning potential. When two disciplined, goal oriented people combine their incomes to create an amazing wealth building machine, this is how you see a mechanic and a nurse buy their first duplex while their single income friends are still struggling with rent. They can clear debt faster, build a down payment in half the time, and max out retirement accounts. They create joint budgets, they set shared goals, and they execute the plan together. There is no friction here, no resentment about who pays for what, because it's all our money working towards our goals. This partnership doesn't just add her income to yours, it multiplies the effectiveness of both. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe and mash those reaction buttons as y'all continue to come through here. Archetype number two, we're like halfway through now. Archetype number two, the fortress, the emotional bedrock. While the co-CEO secures your financial flank, the fortress secures your emotional core. Building anything of value, a business, a career, a significant net worth, is a stressful and lonely journey. It's filled with setbacks, failures, and moments of crippling self doubt. The emotional bedrock is the woman who turns your home into a fortress, a sanctuary where you can retreat, recharge, and rebuild your confidence before heading back out into battle. She is the opposite of the dream killer. When you come to her with a new idea, she meets it with intelligent curiosity and belief. She might ask tough questions, not to poke holes in your dream, but to help you strengthen your plan. She's your trusted confidant, the one you can be completely vulnerable with about your fears and your struggles, knowing that you won't be judged, retaliated against, or resented for the things that you say. She doesn't see your ambition as a threat. She sees it as part of who you are, and she sees your number as the top number of success. She's actually your number one fan. She's the first person in your fan club. Her life is going to be stable. She is not a source of drama. She handles her own responsibilities with maturity. So she has the capacity to support you. This emotional stability is a priceless financial asset. It provides the peace of mind that is the prerequisite for deep work and calculated risk taking. You can't focus on closing a seven-figure deal if you're worried about an emotional explosion at home, which is one of the reasons why a lot of financially successful men will say that they are not going to get into a business deal with a man that doesn't have his house in order. They also tell people to go back and talk to your husband or your wife about this financial deal because it will impact your family. If you can't make a decision with confidence, people can't do business with you. You can't have the courage to leave a stable job to start a company if your home life is a chaotic mess. You can't even hold down a stable job if you're going into work late because she's starting arguments right before you leave for work and then making it seem like you don't care about her because you're walking out on the argument. You're getting off from work early because some bullshit didn't happen at the house. You're distracted while you're on the job because she's still arguing with you on the job, either on the phone or via text message while you're at the job, literally putting you in a position where you could get hurt on the job. That's not what you need. When you aren't wasting mental and emotional energy on relationship conflicts, all of that energy can be channeled into productive income generating activities. A woman of value will understand this, and that is going to be your success, which is inherently her success. And the most valuable thing that she can provide is not money, but peace. She is the solid ground beneath your feet that allows you to build as high as you want or as high as you're reasonably capable of achieving. The third archetype is the network manipulator, the door opener. This is going to be the most underrated and perhaps the most powerful archetype for wealth building in today's economy. The network multiplier is a woman who, through her own ambition, career, and social intelligence, expands your world as a man and opens doors that you never knew existed. She has her own career, her own professional circle, her own areas of expertise, and she is a high caliber woman in her own right. This is what we're looking for when we look for a career woman. That's not what we find a lot of the times. We stumble across the other one that rubs her career in your face. But this is the valuable woman that we're supposed to be looking for. It isn't about using her connections. It is about the natural opportunities that arise when two successful, driven people merge their lives and their networks. So let's go back to the example of the blue collar man, say an expert welder, dating a professional woman, like a hospital administrator. He's a master of his craft, but his world of opportunities is limited to the job sites that he knows. His girl, on the other hand, is involved in hospital expansion projects. One day she mentions that the project is facing massive delays because they can't find a reliable team of specialized medical grade pipe fitting. Suddenly, through a casual dinner conversation, he is introduced to a high stakes, high margin opportunity that exists completely outside of his normal world. His skills are the same, but the context provided by her network multiplies their value exponentially. Not to mention, she could then advertise his skill set to her boss. The door opener is intellectually curious. She reads different books than you do, listens to different podcasts than you do, and has conversations with people you'd never meet otherwise. Where those conversations are not about dudes that want to get into her pants. This is about people that are sharing knowledge and skill sets that she can benefit from to make herself more successful. And those knowledge and skill sets that she obtains from other individuals, she can share that with you, which is knowledge and skill sets that you didn't already have. She brings new ideas and perspectives to the table that challenge your assumptions and spark new insights. She might introduce you to the friend who became your future business partner or mention an emerging trend that becomes the basis for your next venture. This archetype embodies the principle that your network is your net worth. By choosing a partner who is actively building her own valuable network, you are not just adding one person to your life, you are creating a bridge to hundreds of others. So you are merging two ecosystems of opportunity, and the co pollinization can lead to exponential growth that neither of you could have achieved alone. She doesn't just support your journey to wealth, she provides new maps and unlocks new territories. He says if she listens to different podcasts, that could be a deal breaker. She would have to switch to this. Okay. I'm with you on that one, Steven. She gonna have to cheat. She gonna have to listen to this one first, and then go listen to some other ones, and then be able to cross compare the information. She gonna have to come here first. I agree with you on that one, bro. She if she don't know how to watch another podcast and be like, hey man, y'all ain't doing it right because this and that got some information that y'all I agree with you on that one, Stephen, because this is the only podcast that is going to be the most informative about self development and life goal improvement. This is like an ongoing build your life coach up scenario where you will find yourself in a type of situation that not too many people know about. And this is common knowledge that is all too uncommon. And it is true. They got to come here. I know. Look, Nicole laughing. They got some females that be doom scrolling, and they find themselves back on this here channel, and they'll hang here longer than they'll hang somewhere else because it's like, let's shit, this man making sense. He making sense, but you're not going to go to another podcast anywhere and have this kind of discussion make sense for you. Because, yes, they have a lot of intellectual podcasts out there where they're talking about stuff that's got nothing to do with you, it's got nothing to do with your life. No way can you benefit from it. Oh, yeah, two smart people talking about something smart. You learn something smart that you can have a conversation by the water cooler, where you can have a conversation on the job with one of your coworkers and sound smart. But no other podcast is saying, hey, you know what? Let's fix all of the things that you do wrong in your own life so that you can stop being disappointed in yourself. This is the only podcast that does that. So I agree with you, Stephen, that she gonna have to be here too. If she going somewhere else, she gonna have to be here too. If she not here live, she need to watch this after the fact and then go look at something else. But you got to watch the whole show because she gonna learn some stuff here. Now, the $1 million question is going to be, how do you tell the difference between the two types of women? Now, I gave you three bad ones and three good ones. Right? How do you vet? How do you vet for a wealth builder and screen out the wealth killer, especially early on when everyone's on their best behavior? It's going to come down to asking the right questions, looking for the right signals, and having the courage to walk away from those red flags instead of just staying it, knowing that she's a bad choice, but staying in it for the sex. Ladies, knowing that he's a bad choice, but staying in it for the money. You got to recognize if it ain't right for you, you need to walk away early on before you get emotionally invested, before you get financially invested, before you've put in too much time. You need to walk away early. So, early conversations on the first 3 to 5 dates. Your job here is going to be simple. You want to listen more than you talk. I understand if both sides are taking this advice that if you have two people that are doing the same thing, y'all clearly on the same wavelength. So if he's insisting that you talk more than him and you're insisting that he talks more than you might want to ask him, did you watch that this and that podcast? Because I mean, if we doing the same thing, we got the right mindset, right? However, if they ain't watched this show and they don't know what's going on, you're likely going to be the one to approach this. They're likely not going to know that this is going on, and you will be able to assess the situation to find out. They don't have to watch this podcast to be a good choice, but you will be able to know if they're a good choice. You want to be a detective looking for clues about their financial philosophies and their character, right? So you want to ask about their goals. Don't just ask, what do you do? Fellas, you don't want to ask this to her. Ladies, y'all don't want to ask him that because a lot of men that are smart are not going to tell you what he does. And gold diggers and feminist movements are going to tell other good, high valued women, child, if he don't want to tell you what he do for a living, that's a red flag. That's not a red flag. I am not supposed to tell you what I do for a living for you to like my character because I could be digging ditches. I could be shoveling shit out of a restaurant. I could be the Fortune 500 CEO. Who I am as a person when I clock out is not what I do. So you should ask a person, what do you do for a living? You want to ask them a specific question. What are you passionate about? What are you trying to build in your own life? He said, I do stuff. Right. But see, when you say, well, I do stuff, a lot of the times a woman is going to say, a woman is going to think to herself, well, he's deflecting from the question. He's hiding things. You're not going to care because you're going to feel like, well, when as soon as she asks you, what do you do? You're probably talking to her in uniform anyway. And I don't blame you. I would have too. If I was working at a Waffle House, I would go to a date with my uniform on. And I'm not even talking about the modern day one. I'm talking about the old school one with the prison stripes, with the Waffle House logo on. I would just go out there because I got to go to work after the date anyway, right? What do I do for a living? You should already know. You probably met me at work. Fuck. But in those situations where you don't have that situation happen, where you actually dressed up for the date, they don't know what you do. They shouldn't ask you what's your name and what's your occupation. They should be able to find out what is your life goals, right? A wealth builder is going to have an answer to this. Because, like, if a person asked me, what am I trying to build in my own life? My response to that question would be the type of financial security that would allow me to sustain my standard of living in America while traveling the world. That's a pretty specific goal. Now, what is my standard living? Home ownership, vehicle ownership, multiple vehicles, so I have a backup plan. I got details, right? Now, how much is that particularly going to cost? That depends on where the house is located at. That depends on the size of the house. That depends on how much financial investments I'm going to put into the house. Am I going to upgrade it to be solar? Is it already solar? Do I want it to be a smart house? Do I want it to be a simplistic house? Am I going to add on to it? These are things that sets the bar. But notice, wealth builder. I'm specifically Dylan was here before talking about that he's got a $3,000 a year lifestyle in America, so he needs a 6,000. No, he has a $3,000 a month standard of living in America, so he wants a $6,000 a month income so he can maintain his standard of living in America and then go and live in other countries. He already set himself a goal that he wants that $6,000 a month income. But a $6,000 a month income is like 72 to $75,000 a year income. Just listening to what he wants to do with his life, you already know where he's trying to go. If he's not there already, you know where he's trying to go. A woman with a wealth builder mentality would be able to answer the same kind of question. Well, I just don't want to be broke, or I just want to have a peaceful life in the future. She don't know what the fuck she wants. She wants it to be provided to her, but she doesn't know how the fuck she's going to get there if it's not given to her. So you got to think about this. It might be a career goal, making partner in your firm. You know, it could be a creative project like Michael paints on a regular basis. You might want to open up a gallery and show your work to high profit investors. A skill that she might be trying to master, not just being financially responsible, like a real skill. You know, usually in this situation, her eyes will light up about the topic because when somebody talks about what they're passionate about, you can clearly see their passion in their vocabulary, in their mannerisms, in their body, right? A wealth killer often has vague answers like, I just want to be happy. Her goals are often based on consumption, not creation. Observe her attitude towards your work. When you talk about your job or your business, does she ask intelligent questions? Does she seem genuinely curious? Or does she seem bored, waiting to talk about something else? A major red flag is any hint of disrespect for your work, especially if you're in a blue collar trade. If she makes a condescending joke about your job, that's a clear sign that she's not a builder. Think about that for a minute. The money talk test. You can bring up money in a low pressure way. Talk about a financial book that you read or a podcast like this and that, one that you listen to. Say something like, I heard this interesting idea about saving 20% of your income. I've talked about this plenty of times. 10, 20, 30, 40% of your income, right? Have you ever thought about stuff like that? A wealth builder will engage. She might share her own savings philosophies. A wealth killer will likely get uncomfortable or change the subject. You can have a wealth builder that is early on in their phases where she hadn't thought about it, but she's interested in it, and she might ask you a lot of questions about it because the younger they are, the less they know. So she doesn't have to know about this per se to actually be interested in doing it, right? But a wealth killer is not going to want to talk about this. This isn't what interests her. She wants Chanel, right? You need to find out early if she's someone who avoids money conversations or if she's somebody who dives right in. Financial red flags in the first 3 months of dating. As a relationship develops, you have to be on high alert for these warning signs because usually the first 3 months of the honeymoon phase is when you guys are immersed in passion. You guys are excited about spending time with one another. You can't take enough time away from your priority to be with this person. But after a while, you get used to them being around, and that's when the shit you allow to happen because it was cute gets on your fucking nerves. So you want to pay attention in the first 3 months about these warning signs. First and foremost is financial irresponsibility. Does she complain about being broke, but her social media is full of new clothes and expensive dinners? Does she have a habit of forgetting her wallet or bringing her purse, but not bringing anything but her ID? Is she vague about her job stability? She might do the kind of job that is socially unacceptable. OnlyFans girl, exotic dancer, stripper, escort, you know. She could just she could be working at a fucking McDonald's and just not be proud of it. You got a damn job, right? These are signs of a disconnect between her lifestyle and her income, right? Sense of entitlement, another red flag. Does she expect you to pay for everything as a rule, or does she get upset if you don't choose the most expensive options? This signals that she sees your role as a provider, not a partner. A lack of gratitude. When you do something nice for her, is she genuinely appreciative, or does she act like she's owed that action? Like you better open the door open for me. You supposed to hold the car door open. You're supposed to pull the chair out for me. We seen a chick that was like, "Oh, he's supposed to do all this stuff and cut my steak up." What? He ain't never not. I done been head over heels for some females, and I ain't never cut they shit up for them. I had one that I had separated the food for me. She cut up her own fucking steak. You sitting here telling me that I gotta cut your steak up into little squares before you eat it? That's servitude. We ain't going down there for. I wouldn't even ask a woman to do that for me. What the fuck? She was going ham, right? Special shout out to Charles. Back again. Modern women are broke and crazy. Well, 75% of society is broke, so that means that half of that would be like 34% of women is in fact broke. They're not crazy, they're more misunderstood. They can get crazy when their misunderstood behavior starts being rejected by the man, and then they start overreacting so that they can deflect from their lack of responsibility and lack of good decision making skills. Because if you wow out enough, I'm trying to calm you down so that you don't embarrass me in public. But my dynamic is that if she can't carry herself respectfully, I'm not taking her nowhere. And I don't want a woman that I can't take places with me. When I leave the house with everybody. If I got to leave you at home, then I can't stay with you. There should never be a situation where I have to leave you at home. Even if I went on a business trip, I should be able to take my partner with me. The only time my partner's not coming with me is when she's got something else to do at the exact same time that is valuable to her. But if I'm leaving her behind because she will embarrass me on this business trip, then that's not a good partner to have. Because again, if I'm talking and she's listening, she can hear if this isn't good for us. And then she can pull me aside and let me know. Damn right. While I lead up at the airport. I was watching this video, right? Side note, y'all, I was watching this video, right? And so dude was with this chick in the car. She had threw his ring out the car, wedding ring, engagement ring, some shit like that. She threw the ring out the car. He let the girl stay in the car. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna pull over at the nearest building of sorts. That's it. Get out. If it's your car, I'm getting out. If it's my car, you're getting out. We're not commuting anywhere else. That is a wrap from this particular position. From the moment the ring flew out the window, I'm not bringing you back to the house. That is a dead topic. We're not arguing about that. That I seen another video about a female that was she got on social media and shamed this dude for picking her up in a Honda Civic. She walking. He was going to a cheesecake factory. She was devaluing the dude for going to a cheesecake factory. No, that's okay. Soon as she went live to talk shit about the fact that I chose to see Cheesecake Factory, she would have got the fuck out of my car. We're not we're not going down that path. That's not where we at. You must appreciate whatever happens, right? A lack of gratitude suggests a transactional mindset. And this is also going to lead you to the position of being in a relationship with a person that is going to exchange physical and emotional intimacy for financial gain. So now you're dating a female that will sleep with you on a regular basis, but when you get your paycheck, it's hers outside of paying the bills. And when you have something that you're trying to save for and you don't get her the money that she wants to have, now she's emotionally cold. She's ghosting you. She's not giving you the intimacy that you would otherwise have gotten in the relationship because she didn't get bought for her what she wanted. That's not good. He said, and get the ring. It costs money. I'm not looking for no ring. I said before, if you get that girlfriend contract, the engagement ring is a financial investment in the contract. And upon termination of the relationship, she's agreeing on this contract to return the ring or the monetary value of that ring at the date of purchase, not depreciated value. So if it was a $10,000 ring 10 years ago, if you threw the ring out the car today, you owe me $10,000 or you better go find that fucking ring. At the end of the day, upon termination of our relationship, the division of assets would include her financial responsibility to refund me the ring or the value of the ring. If you don't have the money to pay for the ring, then $10,000 worth of your shit stays at my house because you owe me for that ring. That was the contract you signed when you started dating. That was the contract that you signed because we're going to start off with a dating contract. We're going to have an engagement contract. Then we're going to have a prenup with the marriage. Like Michael said before, have those added in as addendums. By the time we get to the wedding, it is going to be like 100 something page contract where everything that can be separated will be separated. Every entitlement, you know what you're getting out of this going into it. You know. But you also know that if you act ass and break some shit or some stuff come up missing, that you will be held financially liable about that. And that's okay. That's okay. Some people are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fuck with it. I'm gonna disappear. You will be found. Don't think that I won't put in effort to get a private investigator to find your behind so that they can serve you. I will get a private investigator and a process server. And between the two of them, they will drag you to court and then we will garnish your wages. Yeah, everybody gets a like. So that's right. Mash those reaction buttons. I actually put three different contracts into the membership of templates that you guys can utilize to create that girlfriend contract, the fiance and a marriage contract, the contracts for both renters and homeowners. Because if you're a homeowner, right, and she's living in your house, it needs to be written in a contract that the money that she's giving you is not community investment into your house where she has equity stake. It is room and board for her stay there as a tenant. So she is all the money she's putting on the mortgage is her rent for the property, not her financial equity investment in the house. Because if you don't have that in writing, because she gave you some money one day, or and it could be money that she gave you to pay for something that got shit to do with the house. Indirectly, she just invested in the house. No, According to this contract, the money that you're putting up does not give you equity stake in the house. So when we part ways, I will not sell this house so that you can get your money back out of the house. It's not going to happen. Wherever your equity stake goes, it will be under contract. That's where your equity stake went. And when separation occurs, if the division of equity occurs, that is what will be separated, not the house, because you didn't invest in the house. You paid your rent for staying in the house. But not too many men think about that. There was a woman I've seen on the social media thing. She was a lawyer, a divorce lawyer. She was trying to help this girl clean this man out, right? The dude, they stayed in the house the whole time, but it was the dude's mama's house. But it stayed his mama's house. So she died. He just moved into it, and they were staying in the house. Now that they're getting divorced, the house has to go into probate because he didn't put the house under contract. It kept her from taking the house directly, but because they lived in the house together and he didn't have the house under contract or have her have the relationship under contract, they could the divorce lawyer can make it be perceived in divorce court that she has financially invested in the house that he inherited from his mother. So now he has to get his mother's house in probate, sell his mother's house after probate, and then give the wife half of the house. He still don't got the house at the end of the divorce, but it's harder for the wife to get the house because the house was still in his mom's name. But because they both lived in the house and she was giving him money that he was inherently, she could claim that she's putting it towards the mortgage because she gave him money. He put it on something, but he took his money and put it on a mortgage. She actually can then say that she can get that damn house. That's that bullshit. But if you got it under contract, that the money she's giving you is not going to put equity into the house. The money that she's giving you is not putting equity into the new car that you got. If you bought a car for her, that's her car, not all the cars. So say you bought her a BMW, you got a Toyota. The money that in that girlfriend contract, in that relationship contract, that BMW is her car. Upon separation, she assumes 100% responsibility for the notes. Whatever money she put towards that car, that's her car. Whatever fucking money you put towards that car, that's her car. You can't take that car back. Now, let's say that you bought yourself a new BMW. She wants to drive it because it looks nice. You got a Honda Civic in the yard that you used to have, but you bought this new car so that you can have a more reliable transportation. And she wants to drive your new car around. That's fine. According to the relationship contract, both cars are yours, and no money that she gives you is it putting equity stake into the vehicle. The renting of the car reimburses you for gas and maintenance and usage of the vehicle, but no financial investment in the ownership of the vehicle. If you got it under contract, that she's agreeing that whatever money she gives you does not contribute to any equitable stake in the car that you're financing or the house that you got a mortgage on. She cannot divorce you and take that house and claim that she has equity stake because the contract says you don't. The contract says that you are what the money you're giving me is for usage, not for equity stake. And that's not the same. Y'all not gonna get this information from nowhere else. But if you go and talk to a lawyer, they'll tell you, yes, if you put it in a contract about equity stake versus usage, and they sign that agreement before you start handing them the keys, before you start taking money from them, you can guaranteedly protect yourself in a better situation than what you would if you just simply said, well, we're going to start dividing stuff after we're married, right? That's why y'all need to not just like and subscribe. Y'all need to join the membership as well. Hit those notification buttons because we be putting a lot of information in the membership that not too many people pay attention to. And once you get that stuff, you like, damn, this is beneficial. I'm here for the fellas, but ladies, y'all can benefit from this information too. Drama and instability. This is going to be her life. That is a whirlwind of chaos. Constant arguments with her friends, problems at her job, family drama. These are red flags. A person who cannot manage their own life will not be able to help you manage yours. So this works both ways. You in divorce court right now. You not supposed to be trying to date no chick. You in a custody battle with somebody. Your child ain't grown yet. You not supposed to be in no relationship with no chick because you can't manage your own personal life. How the hell are you going to help them manage theirs? Right? The financial green flags now. We're on the bottom quarter. Signs of a true partner. These are the positive signs that you want to look for. These are the signs that you're on the path with a wealth builder. I'm giving away gems for free. Well, I give away a lot of gems for free, but I also give you guys detailed information related to the gems in the membership as a monthly fee, as little as I think $3 or $4 a month for the membership. And there, I'm giving you way more money than you would. Yeah, I am. I'm giving you guys way more money doing this than what you would pay for the membership. But this stuff feeds your ability to build yourselves up and make yourselves more successful. Because at the end of the day, my legacy is the success of the people around me. My legacy isn't just how much money I make for myself. My legacy isn't just how much money I give to my kids and my grandkids. My legacy is the success of the people around me. So there goes Steven. Steven's in the membership. He said that the membership is a great investment. It's a fantastic investment. I give you guys more knowledge and more information that you can do research on and build yourself up with than a financial advisor, than a tax lawyer, than an estate lawyer. That I do so much. The life coach. I give you guys so much information that y'all can benefit from. That you would be paying $200-300 an hour to get this information from other individuals, and y'all getting this shit for free from me, and then details about it in the membership for a very low cost. And no lie, yeah, YouTube takes half of the cost of membership, so I only get like $1 out of each person that gets in there. He said prices just went up. Oh no, I got different tiers of membership, but the cheapest membership that I got is like a $3-4 membership. So for you, matter of fact, YouTube Premium is like $13 or $14 a month. My membership is like less than a third of that price, right? So you spend more money to watch YouTube with no commercials than what you would spend getting detailed information from me out of my membership. I'm trying to tell y'all like that, but there's so much information there that you guys could benefit from. But there's like some top tier levels up there, higher memberships up there, where I actually put a lot more effort into the top tier, the higher tier information. But the base level stuff that everybody can get into, where even the brokest of broke people can dive into that membership and get all of the stock information that I've been putting out for the last like 6 months is still in there. All of the investment opportunities, all of the uh, 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 self-building guides, the step-by-step guides that I've been putting in over the past couple months. All that stuff that y'all can just scroll back to the past, be like, damn, he's still putting up shit. Like for real, it's sitting there. Like I said, prices went up. The more people that get in there, they're gonna start seeing value in the higher tiers, and they're gonna start ending up buying higher tiers. I do got to go in there and throw down on some more detailed information about some of the higher tiers. But yeah, for the most part, just the base tier, yeah, the value went up because I don't see myself raising prices. I believe that the members that are in there at the tier that they're in right now, like this is for everybody. Because I mean, if everybody gave me $1 a month and it's 82,000 people, that's $82,000. YouTube will take half of that shit, but I mean, fuck. if they're Oh yeah, that's right. He said, Steven said, I asked a question and got templates for emails that would help me apply for scholarship. Yeah, that's right. He asked me a question on the live podcast, and a few days later, I had put a quite a few templates into the membership for him that he could utilize to help him get scholarships for his college. And that's actually something that a lot of your mentors in college won't do for you. Your faculty advisors, they don't do stuff like that. They just tell you, oh well, just be genuine, you'll be fine. Now, so I actually gave him some templates to help him succeed because I know that he's trying to be better at what he's trying to do, and I give you guys so much detailed advice. But yeah, the value of the membership continues to go up even though the price stays the same. But there are different tiers because you got the basic level, beta level, and then you have the triple diamond platinum package all the way at the top that is very expensive. But some of the mid range tiers ends up getting you guys more benefits than the basic tiers, but the basic tier is so valuable that because there's so much knowledge that I'm archiving on YouTube where this is better than going to Wikipedia. No lie. And the fact that YouTube tagged me on Wikipedia 3 times, I was like, what? I wasn't expecting that. I was really happy when I saw that, you know. Now, next thing you got to understand financial responsibility. This is going to be a green flag with a woman. If you find a woman that has financial responsibility, she lives within her means, she talks about savings for goals, not just buying a new car or buying a new cell phone, like legitimate life improving goals, right? She respects your money and her own money. She's not one of those girls that says that your money is my money and my money is my money too, right? The women that value you autonomously and values herself. She has a sense of financial responsibility that over 90% of people find attractive. Got to understand that. Starlink IPO is going public soon by the stock now. Did I talk about Starlink IPO? I haven't covered Starlink IPO. No, I looked at that's right, because it was a private stock. We were talking about another stock that had just went public like a month and a half ago, and it had a massive gain. It went from like $3 to $300, and then it leveled off at 30, and it was a growth stock. So if you bought in when it was low and you sold when it went up like 300%, then you would have been fantastic. Or actually, it went up like 3,000%, and then you would have sold when it peaked. Instead of riding the wave, when it went back down and leveled off at like 30, you would have been able to buy back in and would have had like way more shares. But yeah, we could look into Starlink and see what's going on with them because depending on their long-term value, because you got to look at when you buy in. If they already went public and it's on a massive climb, you can buy in the middle. But as the hype dies down, people are going to start selling off, and you want to be sold before it falls. Since it's a growth stock, once it levels off, then you buy back in. That way you turn a profit. If you buy it and hold it, it'll be on a nice woo, and then it'll plummet. And if it plummets lower than what you bought into it, you're at a loss until it goes back up to where you bought in. But as a growth stock over the long term, if it is an ongoing growth stock, eventually it will be worth more than what you paid into it. But during the time that you have it, if it is less than what you paid for it, it's not a profit to you, and it's not paying you dividends. But I did give you guys two or three different portfolios that you guys can use out of the membership that is a massive growth stock with dividend paying. That is, from what I understanding, averaging about 12% return with the 20% REITs and the 3% oil companies averaging out to about 12% return, where a lot of the stuff that's not REITs is the tax protected stocks for long term growth. So you will see less taxation, more profits, but you could ultimately uh, 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 put up a large quantity of money and get a large quantity of return on the back end. And one of the better parts about having a growth stock dynamic, a dividend paying growth stock dynamic, is when you leverage a portfolio where, let's say, you have like 100, 200, $300,000 worth of stock that's paying you 12%. That means for every $100,000, you're making like $12,000, or what I was looking at, almost $15,000, because it's almost 15%, and then after taxes, you'd be around $12,000, and that means that you're like $1,000 a month of income. If you're getting $1,000 a month of income from a brokerage account, and you were able to leverage 50% of that brokerage account for $50,000 of capital, and you put that $50,000 of capital on top of your principal, now you've got like 150,000, or you went from 200,000 to 300,000, or from 300,000 to 450,000, and then the $1,000 a month that you would be paying on the brokerage account would be coming from your brokerage account. So your paycheck is paying your bills. You just doubled your brokerage account. And by the time you pay it down, your assets are far surpassing the line of credit that you borrowed. If in the event you have a family emergency and you need to go and buy something, you don't got to sell shit because the stock is already covering itself, and the extra money that you're getting from the extra money that you put into it is going to give you extra dividends. And because you got this massive loan borrowed against your portfolio, you claim that as a financial loss because whenever you're paying back a debt, there's no taxation. So the profit margin that you would have gotten taxed on, you end up not having to pay taxes on that. So then you're in a position where you can SBA loan and throw that into the thing, and you can do, you know what I'm saying, do all of these other things, go into the real estate, buy you a piece of property, go leverage that so that you don't got to pay for that, and all of these things benefit you in ways that you know not a lot of people hear about. So yeah, take a look at Starlink and see if it's good for you. Now, another valuable woman is going to be one with shared values and shared goals. When you talk about the future, your visions should align with one another. It's not one of those, oh, me too situations. You both want similar things out of life, not just in terms of family, but in terms of lifestyle, freedom, and legacy. So if I want to start a family and you want to start a family too, if I want the ability to not have to work every day, but have the income to sustain my standard of living, and you want that too, if I want the ability to go to specific countries around the world and my standard of living is paid for here, and I'm also able to go to travel in a comfortable fashion, and you want that because all women want to travel the world, but not a lot of women want to put in the effort to get it done on their own dollar. You might want that too. If we have shared end goals, then we can negotiate how to get there, right? Another thing that's going to be a higher value woman is going to be a woman that is your biggest cheerleader. She, she's going to celebrate your wins. She's going to encourage you after your losses, not just tear you down when you don't succeed or take shots at you in front of other people when you do. You're successful. Ah, that's because he kissed his boss's ass. You don't need that kind of female, right? You need one that believes in your potential, sometimes even more than you believe in yourself. She makes your home a place of peace. She has her own life. She has her own goals, her own friends, her own hobbies. So she's not 100% codependent upon what you got going on. She is a whole person choosing to partner with you, not a half a person looking for you to complete her or subsidize her standard of living. She has to inspire you. Simply put, being around her should make you want to be a better man. She challenges you. She supports you, not just financially, emotionally. And her presence in your life elevates you. That's where the term my better half comes from because she inspires me to be better. You know, becoming a good judge of character is a skill. It's going to take a lot of practice. You're going to meet a lot of people. You're going to fuck a lot of things up, but you want to make sure that you're meeting with the right people. He said, I want a midget to cook and clean the house. I'm paying half price. Go sit down, child. No lie. I've always thought about that 4 foot 11. And I've always said, man, I wanted one of them. 4 foot 11, 3 foot 5, you know. But I'm 5 foot 6, so I'm shorter than the son of a bitch. So I mean, if I got a girl that was a foot shorter than I was, you know what I mean? I would be concerned, because since at 5 foot 6, I'm the same height as a 10-year old. I would have to be really concerned about a 4 foot 11 female because I would have to really find out like thorough background checks that she is actually, in fact, over the age of 21. You know, unless she's in her late 40s where she looks old, like wrinkles in the face and everything like that. Unless she's so old that you notice she's grown. If she look young and she like 4'11", she could be 16. You don't want to get caught up now because in Louisiana they're castrating people for catching that charge, even if it's an accident. So you want to be sure. when you start messing around with little people that they're of age, right? Now, when we start getting women of value and you start becoming a good judge of character, this is going to mean that you will be uh, willing to end a relationship that looks good on the surface but shows the red flags underneath. So he said, I never see the little people. That's because you got to look down. If you walking with your head held high, you don't walk right past them. They're typically the one that's going to park in the handicap space. And that's the one you're going to find them. That's where you'll find them. Now, this is going to mean that when you're choosing a woman with character over the woman with fleeting charm, because they might be pretty on the outside, they're pretty in the face, slim in the waist, they might be willing to throw it back. But at the first of all, you shouldn't date ratchet. Because I'm just going to tell you first and foremost, if she's willing to drop it like it's hot in public, if she's willing to shake her tail feather in public, if she's willing to overly expose herself in public, her mentality is not going to be in the right place first and foremost. We just know that. But the ones that carry themselves with a little bit of elegance and some charm, but still have those negative characteristics, you have to be able to tell that when some of these things come up as red flags, that you're able to walk away before the situation gets bad. So we got to be real. For generations, men have been sold this lie to focus on your bank account and your love life will take care of itself. A lot of women are taught that it's the man's job to carry the relationship. That if he really loves her, he's supposed to make the relationship work. But we've been taught to see women as more of a prize to be won with money rather than a partner to build wealth with. And women a lot of the times believe that they're the prize when they're not. Okay, so they're not a prize to be won as more of a trophy on the shelf to be admired with no other value. And that's not what 2026 men are looking for. When a woman believes that she's the prize, she believes that all men are supposed to strive to get with her, but she's not actually a prize. She's more of a trophy. And you know what you do with a trophy, right? Piston cups or a bunch of dusty cups on the shelf that hold no value outside of the fact that there's something to talk about and to look at, right? WWE titles, they sit on the shelf and collect dust. They hang off the wall and collect dust, but they don't do anything other than be something to talk about, right? It doesn't help you bring in extra money. It doesn't help you make better decisions. It doesn't help you improve your standard of living. It doesn't help you improve your income. It doesn't help you mitigate multitasking. It doesn't help you be in two places at once. It just looks good and it's something to talk about. No woman wants to be that in a relationship. This is the great disconnection, and it is leaving millions of men broke, burned out, and excessively resentful. Trophies are to be admired, not relationship material. I greatly appreciate that and I respect that wholeheartedly. Trophies are definitely only to be reminded. And a lot of times guys are willing to get laid with trophies because yeah, she might be an 8 or a 9. She claims to be a 10. She's got a lot of red flags, but because she's an 8 or a 9, she's like the top 15% you can smash to say that you smashed. It's an ego thing, but she's not valuable to you at all outside of the fact that you got laid once, maybe 5 times. It's an ego thing, but she's not valuable to you because all of the things that makes a woman valuable, she's not willing to do. Once you get out of that bed, that 5 minutes of entertainment, the other 24 hours, the other 23 hours, what, 55 minutes after that, before that, she did nothing. That's not what you're looking for. The truth is, your love life and your bank account are not two separate things. They are deeply and irreversibly intertwined. The person that you choose to share your life with will either be the most powerful tailwind pushing you towards your goal or the heaviest anchor holding you back. She'll be your greatest asset or your biggest liability. There's no middle ground there. Even if you decided to say, well, you're in your 30s, you're going to build yourself up for the next 10 or 15 years, and in your late 40s, early 50s, you're going to go look for somebody. If you're not paying attention to the kind of person you're looking for, whatever you make yourself in the next 15 years can be destroyed with one bad choice of who you're going to share that success with. But you can find somebody tomorrow that is a valuable asset, a good find, somebody that you can build with and make the next 15 years easier, where you would have accomplished 30 years worth of goals in the next 15 years. That's a whole different magnitude. Choosing a life partner is the single most important financial decision that you will ever make. It has more impact on your net worth than your career, your investment portfolio, or your savings rates. The right woman, that is the co CEO, the emotional fortress, the network multiplier, will amplify your every effort. The wrong woman, which is the spender, the dream killer, the resentment machine, will drain your resources, your energy, and your spirit, guaranteeing a life of struggle. And ladies, you got to understand, when your husband and your boyfriend start identifying you as the old lady in the ball and chain, you clearly understand that you are holding him back psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, because he would not identify the most valuable thing in his life as an anchor. And it ain't his fault that he's identifying you that way. It is your behavior that has him identifying you. You understand? So, fellas, your task is to stop being a passive participant in your own love life. You must become an active, discerning investor of your time and your emotions. You must learn to vet the character. You want to vet for an alignment, for shared values. It's hard for these modern women. You have to vet these modern women, and I understand. And that's why I said earlier, man. Stephen was like, "Oh, I'll just go to Atlanta." Shit, I'm not going to Atlanta. I am going to somewhere in Asia. Why? Because the culture is still traditionally family oriented. Even though they are career women, they are family oriented. If I'm not going to Asia, I'm going to Belarus. Why? Because they 90% of Belarus's working class is family oriented women that are small business owners. Whole country where the majority of women in that country own their own business and still love and respect their family, still love and support and respect their man. And we come to America, and what we don't have is that exact same expectation. So I'm not going, I ain't got nothing against specifically the women in America. What I have against is their desire to value men in America. And that is where I'm like, well, if she's not going to respect me for who I am or what I do, I am going somewhere else. Because instead of me getting into a relationship with somebody that I have to force to change to satisfy my expectations, I can just go somewhere where they do what I expect. That's one of the things that people don't think about. If you're fishing in the pond where the fish are not of the caliber that you're looking for, stop fishing in that pond. Go to another pond. If you're looking for salmon and all you're getting is trout, go to a place where salmon. If you wanted freshwater fish, why are you in a saltwater pond? You can't manifest something that ain't there. Women who want men that have high financial status typically put on expensive clothes and go to expensive events where the only men who can afford to be there are in that place, so that whoever she talks to in that area has wealth, or at least pretends like they have wealth. That's not how we're able to operate as men. We have to go to a place where the women that we find, we have to communicate with and find her value so that we can decide if this is a woman that we want to keep. Now, you have to have the courage to cut your losses when you see the red flags and the wisdom to commit when you find those green flags. You want to stop looking for the women that you can afford and start looking for the woman who's an asset, because building a life of wealth and meaning is a team sport. And the most important draft pick of your entire life is the person that you choose to put on your team. Now, if this resonates with you guys, if you're tired of conventional advice that keeps men stuck, then make sure, if you haven't done so already, for you to subscribe to this channel, because we are dedicated to giving you the hard truth that you need to win in every aspect of your life. And also, if you're looking for even more details outside of this, because we're going to be covering topics like this every night of the week, make sure that you go ahead and take a look at the membership and see the background details of everything else that we talk about. And I'd also have a question for you. What is the biggest financial green flag you look for in your partner? Make sure that you put that in the comments. I want to start a conversation, and we want to learn from each other and share this video with a brother or a cousin or a nephew or an uncle that you know needs to hear this. Because the more people that pick up on the ability to make better decisions, the better things get for the rest of us. In order for you to have a harvest worth harvesting, you must first tend to the crop. So we got to pull the weeds. In order for men to find women of value, we have to encourage the women to behave of value by discouraging negative behavior, which means that we're not going to be encouraging the thought behavior or the ratchet behavior patterns. We have to encourage the women of elegance, the women of class, the women of self sufficiency. And ladies, in order for you to find men of value, you have to build that by teaching your brothers and sons how to carry themselves with value, how not to encourage the thought behavior, how not to encourage the ratchetness, how not to chase the girl with the really short skirt with her booty cheeks out, the low cut cleavage, the one that's overly exposed in public. You have to teach your brothers and your sons to only strive for greater valued women, which will force other women to behave better. Because you got to understand, a lot of women, a lot of the times, are willing to be bad girls club, girls gone wild behavior when they're in their youthful mindset. But if you ask those exact same women, would you allow your sons to bring a woman home that behaves the exact same way you do? They would all say no. So that means two things need to happen. You got to lead by example as adults, as parents, and you have to behave the way you want other people to behave around your kids. So a woman of value is supposed to carry herself with value so that her son know what a valuable woman look like. She should be able to behave just like my mama, if not better, because you are the role model. Men are going to be the same way. Men, you are supposed to behave the way you want men to behave with your daughters, which means that you can't be chasing the types of chicks that you don't want your daughter to be, and you don't want your daughter to be allowing dudes to treat her the way you would not treat. You don't want your daughter to be treated, so you don't want to treat women that way. So you got to change that mentality. If you don't want it to happen to your family, then don't do it to other people's family. That's in Corinthians. That's in Genesis. Do unto others as you want others to do unto you. So carry yourself with a higher level of self-respect, and then demand that level of respect from the other people in your environment, not just in your network. So you're not going to socialize with low class individuals. They can do them, but you are going to remove yourself from low class environments. Like I told y'all a few days ago, start off going to soirees and seminars and book signings and other such things, and meet and greets with other individuals, and just have positive conversations with no expectations involved. You'll find yourself making friends with individuals of a higher status who will then invite you to higher caliber events, where you now are only going to higher caliber events, where now you know what to do in a higher caliber situation, or where to go to find a higher caliber situation. You could potentially find 15 or 20 business events in your area every month. And all you got to do is find the ones that either have no cover or no reservation list, where all you have to do is show up, even if you do got to pay to cover. And then you can walk in there and network with successful individuals. You will be able to communicate with people who are assets. And you will find that the kind of conversations that you have with them are not going to be the same low grade conversations that you have with the people that drop it like it's hot in a nightclub. Waffle House moments, getting arrested, shooting at one another in the street, ops at the traffic light. It's gonna be a completely different environment. Once you expose yourself to a different caliber of individual, you will learn where your changes in your decision making needs to be. And that is when you end up developing a higher standard of expectations for yourself. We've got a lot to work on, but over the next 20 years, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. I'm gonna take y'all with me. So I appreciate a lot. A lot of y'all, make sure that y'all like and subscribe. A lot of y'all came through here. Special shout out to Charles. Special shout out to Stephen, Michael, Nicole. I really appreciate all of y'all for diving in tonight. I'm gonna say on my way out the door, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm gonna keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. And fellas, I give y'all this information to help y'all become higher value men. You have to pay attention, first person accountability, about the things in your life that you can control. And out of those things, the things that you don't like, you have to make changes in those areas so that you can have you a better life, which gives you the capability to navigate around the things in your life that you cannot control. And ladies, while this is a male driven podcast from the male's perspective, you've seen all night for the last 3 hours and 10 minutes that you too can take this information and use it to make yourself higher value women. You have to prioritize where you see yourself in the next 20 or 30 years, reverse engineer what it takes to get there, and put forth the actions and efforts today to make it to where you want to go. And if you keep your eyes and ears open for the character, the drive, the personality, the ambition of the other person that's communicating with you, you can determine a person with short-term goals versus long-term goals and recognize a person to build with. And two people can make it to a million faster than one. So you will get to your goals faster if you guys have shared goals and shared ambitions and shared values, as opposed to somebody that's just here for the moment, here for the fun, late night creep, distraction. You have to make decisions today, not just for tomorrow, but for the next 20 years of your life. You have to start in 2026, building your 2046 before it gets here. Your later cannot be greater if you're not putting in effort today, because today is over. Every moment has passed where you are living the results of last year's decisions. What didn't work for you in 2024, that didn't work in 2025, you shouldn't still be doing it in Q2 of 2026. You need to start making some changes. Whatever's going on in your life that you don't like, you need to start making some changes. That way you can start having a life that you are more satisfied with. And you got to start making changes with your decision-making skills, your actions and efforts towards your long-term goals and ambition, and then continue to manifest yourself into changing everything else in your life. Now, that's all I got for you guys for tonight. I want to thank you guys for coming again. I'm your host, Dander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I want to say thank you for coming to this and that. Yeah. And I will see you guys tomorrow.
Higher ground! Used to chase validation, now I validate that's my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.